Li Mei's Sword of Destiny. Chapter 877. Jun Mengchen and Qin Ta both started to exchange blows. Jun Mengchen's attacks had always been incomparably tyrannical. He transformed into a supreme king, borrowing the power of the king behind him. Every strike he unleashed could shake the heavens and earth. Qin Ta was an expert from the heavenly god race and had the innate talent of the heavenly god race. His body expanded to a height of 10 meters as a 1,000-meter astral soul appeared behind him. His astral soul was akin to the astral soul of a heavenly deity, and as he attacked downwards, the heavens and earth trembled, wanting to destroy this entire space. At this moment, boundless attacks rained down on Jun Mengchen. However, Jun Mengchen roared in rage as boundless light manifested behind him. His roar shook the heavens and earth as a violent turbulence gushed forth, tearing apart everything, blocking all the incoming attacks. He's going berserk. Jun Mengchen is using that all-destroying energy again. Many immortal kings in the immortal banquet glanced at Jun Mengchen. Once this brat went berserk, there was no way to deal with him. Even someone as powerful as Tsang Ao was blasted off the platform with a single punch. He was simply too violent. The battle between Zi Qingxian and Yi Qianchen was also extremely fascinating. Zi Qingxian was like a divine falcon. Her speed was as fast as lightning. However, Yi Qianchen's sword wasn't any slower than hers. Yi Qianchen was a pure sword cultivator. His sword arts were simply too exquisite. His astral souls and constellations were all born from the sword. In an instant he could slash out over 100 sword beams, causing numerous sword scars to appear in the air, wanting to annihilate everyone before him. In addition, the might of each sword strike was extremely ferocious, as fast as lightning, or as explosive as thunder. Zi Qingshuan's speed and attacks were unleashed to the extreme. In this entire space, only her shadow remained. However, she was still suppressed by the sword light. Yi Qianchen's sword arts could be said to be perfect, impenetrable by wind and rain. Regardless of attack or defense, there were no flaws. When fighting against Yi Qianchen, one couldn't afford to be distracted for even the slightest moment. Sword cultivators reaped lives with a single sword strike. They wouldn't give their opponents any time to breathe. Qin Wentian hadn't found an opponent yet, but the rest of them were also aggressive and full of fighting spirit. Everyone was waiting with full concentration and going all out, not daring to make the slightest mistake. Ruthless eyes were filled with a terrifying baleful aura as he stared at Qin Wentian, who was guarding the two battles. Devilish chi surged from his body, giving others a feeling that he was terrifyingly powerful and extremely dangerous. The instant he stared at Qin Wentian immediately felt a stifling pressure as his battle intent gushed forth. After which, the devilish might from Ruthless surged as he walked towards Qin Wentian, step by step. Undefeatable Demon King's disciple Li is going to attack Qin Wentian. The spectators were still paying attention to Qin Wentian. His earlier performance could be said to be extremely outstanding, but in the first round of the final battle, he was ranked last. This battle would be his final chance to rise to the top. Buzz. A devil's spear appeared in Ruthless' hand. Devilish might gushed forth as his aura towered up into the sky. On the surface of the devil's spear, terrifying runic lights flickered, exuding an incomparably ferocious aura. The attacks of devil cultivators have always been violent. Since they cultivate devil arts, their fleshly bodies are extremely strong and their combat prowess is extraordinary. Qin Wentian stared at Ruthless. He activated the battle art as beams of dazzling light radiated from him. In just an instant, Qin Wentian stood there, resembling an unshakable god of war as a fearsome battle might gushed forth, engulfing the heavens and earth. At the same time, the fiend god body refinement art was also circulated. The dazzling light from the sky demon oracle bone circulated around Qin Wentian's body, causing it to be even more dazzling and terrifying to the extreme. A long spear also appeared in Qin Wentian's hands, condensed from astral energy. The long spear in his hands also had terrifying runic lights circulating around it as a fearsome might gushed forth from it. A cold light flashed in Ruthless' eyes. He rushed out, rushing towards Qin Wentian. The devil spear in his hands directly blasted out, bringing with it a terrifying whistling sound as though the entire space was about to explode. The devil might gushed forth like a dragon gushing forth. His devil spear had a fearsome might that could penetrate through everything. A towering devil might gathered in the surroundings, but at the same time, Qin Wenqian's long spear also blasted out, aiming for Ruthless' long spear. The two long spears were like lightning, instantly colliding with each other. In just an instant, the two of them felt an extremely tyrannical force gushing forth. Die! Ruthless roared. His entire arm was covered in devil might as he blasted it towards the devil's spear. Qin Wenqian's arm trembled as a fearsome suppression might gushed forth. At the tip of the spear, a thunderous boom rang out. Ruthless actually took a step back, causing him to furrow his brows. However, at this moment, Qin Wenqian stepped out and blasted out another spear strike. This spear strike was even faster and more ferocious, containing an irresistible force. Ruthless roared in rage. How could his devil spear retreat? He once again collided with Qin Wenqian's spear. Another thunderous boom rang out as Ruthless retreated once again. The devil might gushing forth from him towered up into the sky as numerous ancient devils appeared in the air. Each of these ancient devils wielded a heaven-shaking spear in their hands, exuding an unexcelled aura. Qin Wenqian similarly released his constellation. The suppression constellation frenziedly flowed into Qin Wenqian's arm. Boom! Ruthless stomped the ground as the ancient devils in the air howled. In an instant, tens of thousands of devil silhouettes appeared, all of them wielding spears as they lunged towards Qin Wenqian. This was simply chaos. They wanted to kill Qin Wenqian here with a single strike. At the same time, Qin Wenqian's silhouettes transformed into a million clones. The suppression astral soul in the air radiated boundless divine light, cascading downwards as the fiend god heavenly suppression art was unleashed to the extreme. The long spears in Qin Wenqian's hands all pulsed with a towering suppression might. The millions of Qin Wenqian's silhouettes similarly struck out with their spears. No matter what technique Ruthless used, Qin Wenqian would directly counter it with a force similar to his. Spear against spear. Boundless suppressive light illuminated the area. When the devil might gushed downwards, that incomparably tyrannical heaven suppression spear art broke through the air. The collision this time shook the heavens and the earth. Frenzied destructive currents swept across the area. Ruthless felt as though he was being suppressed. His boundless devil might was being suppressed. With a thunderous boom, his body was flung backwards. The devil's spear in his hand stabbed into the ground of the battle platform. Terrifying crackling sounds rang out as the devil's spear slashed across the platform, causing sparks to appear. However, his body only stopped when he reached the edge of the platform as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. You have lost. Ruthless inclined his head, only to see the resplendent Qin Wenqian pointing his spear at him as he coldly spoke, his stance extremely arrogant. I can still fight. Ruthless' voice was incomparably cold as devil might gushed forth from him, engulfing the heavens and earth. Even if you continue to fight, you will still lose. Qin Wenqian roared as a supreme demonic might gushed forth from him. The aura of a monarch of the demonic Tao gushed forth, clashing against the devil might. Ruthless' eyes stared fixedly at Qin Wenqian. He cultivated in devil arts and was extremely ferocious in his attacks. Yet he was actually defeated. He felt extremely unwilling in his heart. Ruthless, the disciple of the undefeatable Devil King, will still be defeated. Although his devil arts are tyrannical, this Qin Wenqian has already unleashed the third level of the undefeatable Devil King. In addition to his own strength, he's simply too terrifying. Everyone stared at Qin Wenqian. He wielded his long spear and stood there, resembling a descendant of a demon king. At the same time, he also resembled a fearsome god of war, completely unshakable. Jun Mengqian's battle has also concluded. He erupted forth with that incomparably tyrannical and mystical energy as an ancient aura gushed forth from his body. Boundless energy congregated on him, the king of the heavenly god race, as he defeated Qin Ta. Qin Ta's strength was already extremely terrifying. In fact, when he attacked, there were traces of mystical law energy within, but he was still defeated by Jun Mengqian. At this moment, a shrill screech rang out from Zi Qingshuan's side. Yi Qianqian's swordplay forced Zi Qingxian to the extreme. She released her tyrannical bloodline and was akin to a divine falcon with golden flames, shuttling through the sword qi in a domineering manner. Her palms smashed out, similar to Yi Qianqian's swordplay. Although Yi Qianqian's swordplay was incomparably exquisite, he was still defeated by Zi Qingxian. All three of them won. The spectators were all taken aback when they saw this scene. Qin Wentian, Jun Mingchen, Zi Qingxian, all three of them launched their attacks at the same time. For the first battle, the three of them each fought against a genius and all of them won. Such a battle record was many times more dazzling compared to their previous rankings. Staring at the battle platform, Feather King fought against Mo1. Right now, the two of them were fighting intensely, extremely violent. Feather King was the king of the winged devil race of the Western Desert Prefecture. His attacks were extremely terrifying. Mo1 transformed into the Frost King and fought against him. Right now, among the 10 geniuses, the only ones who didn't fight were Gusu Tianqi and Hua Taishu. The two of them didn't clash against each other, but battle intent radiated from them as they stared at the battles of the others. Senior brother, Jun Mingchen called out, "You will fight against Yi Qianxian, Qingxian will fight against Qin Ta. Change fighters." Qin Wentian spoke. Right? Jun Mingchen and Zi Qingxian both nodded, as though they respected Qin Wentian's words. Jun Mingchen walked towards Yi Qianxian, while Zi Qingxian walked towards Qin Ta. Bastard! Qin Ta roared in rage. Was he treating them as stepping stones? After Jun Mingchen defeated him, he changed fighters again? Yi Qianxian's countenance turned ashen. He was the #1 genius of the Qin prefecture, a supreme swordsman. Qin Wentian actually allowed Jun Mingchen and Zi Qingxian to trample on them to prove themselves. This was simply a humiliation to them. Busy. Sword Qi engulfed the heavens and earth, growing even more violent. Yi Qianxian brandished his sword and walked towards Jun Mingchen. Qin Ta howled in rage, resembling a heavenly god as he stared at Zi Qingxian in the air. Fight! How arrogant, he wants to fight them one by one. The three of them want to challenge the other 7 geniuses to prove themselves, using this method to wash away the humiliation of their low rankings in the first 2 rounds. The eyes of the immortal kings shone brightly as they stared at Qin Wentian on the battle platform. Among the 3 of them, Qin Wentian seemed to be the leader. Jun Mingchen was arrogant and violent while Zi Qingxian was calm and solemn. However, the 2 of them were willing to listen to Qin Wentian's commands. As for Qin Wentian himself, he stood in the center of the platform. Earlier, he had already defeated Ruthless. Most probably, he would issue a challenge to Hua Taishu and Gusu Tianqi. Chapter 878. Jun Mingchen fought against Yi Qianxian while Zi Qingxian fought against Qin Ta. The 2 of them exchanged opponents. Feather King was still fighting against Mo1. Feather King was the youngest king of the winged devil race while Mo1 had the Frost King physique, akin to an ice goddess. Gusu Tianqi walked towards Ruthless, the disciple of the undefeatable Devil King. He, Gusu Tianqi, was first in the first round and second in the second round. For this final battle, if he was the first, he would eventually be the first. But if the first position was seized by Hua Taishu, he would have no chance to be the first. For this final battle, he had to obtain the first position no matter what. Fighting against Ruthless, the disciple of the undefeatable Devil King, was his first battle. From Gusu Tianqi, a scorching heat akin to the scorching sun radiated forth. In the air, numerous suns appeared, congregating in the center of the constellation Furnace. This furnace seemed to be able to incinerate everything in the world, possessing an unparalleled destructive might. Ruthless devil might towered up into the sky. An ancient devil appeared, wielding a pitch-black devil spear, exuding an imposing aura. Gusu Tianqi stared at this devil with a calm expression. Since Qin Wentian could defeat Ruthless, how could he not do the same? If he wanted to be the first, he would trample Qin Wentian under his feet. It was just that from his perspective, Qin Wentian, Hua Taishu and Feather King, the threat they posed to him was much greater. On top of the furnace, an unparalleled divine light shot out. It was like a dazzling flame spear that could pierce through a person's body and kill them. Ruthless devil might gushed forth. With a wave of his hand, a fearsome pitch-black devil shield appeared, allowing the fiery spear to shoot towards him. Ruthless remained unmoving. Gusu Tianqi waved his palms in the air as the light from the 9 blazing suns frenziedly shot into the furnace. The furnace trembled violently as terrifying rumbling sounds could be heard. After which, within the furnace, a blazing long spear that resembled the sun slowly materialized, descending from the air and landing in Gusu Tianqi's hands. This long spear radiated boundless divine light as flames blazed around it. Stepping out, Gusu Tianqi's silhouette exploded forth as his long spear shot out. The terrifying sun spear penetrated through the heavens and earth, wanting to annihilate everything in its path. The ancient devil in the air howled in rage as numerous black spears erupted forth. However, when Gusu Tianqi's sun spear swept past, everything was destroyed. With a thunderous boom, the devil's shield shattered, and only when Ruthless and Gusu Tianqi's sun spear collided together did Ruthless manage to block the attack. However, they only saw Gusu Tianqi standing at his original location. A battle art manifested from his body as he waved his hands in the air. Instantly, numerous sun spears appeared from the terrifying furnace, causing people to feel a deep sense of awe and veneration. Against Gusu Tianqi, Ruthless was clearly defeated once again. The spectators mused as they watched on. Gusu Tianqi was simply too powerful, the #1 genius of the Eastern Prefecture. He had a single disciple for 9 generations, and every generation had immortal kings. Even the lowest achievement he had was at the immortal king realm, an innate king. Ruthless, the disciple of the undefeatable Devil King. Although his potential was limitless and his combat prowess was tyrannical, he lost to Qin Wentian in the first battle. For the second battle, he would lose to Gusu Tianqi as well. There was no suspense. In this case, Ruthless no longer had any chance to enter the top 3. The battle between Feather King and Mo1 is extremely intense. Some immortal kings turned their attention to another battle. In the 4 directions for battles between geniuses started simultaneously, causing the spectators to be unable to take it all in. It was extremely fascinating. At this moment, Feather King seemed to be borrowing the astral energy from the starry space, resembling a devil king of the astral skies. His wings were incomparably dazzling, gleaming with terrifying runic inscriptions. Mo1 floated in the air, akin to a goddess of ice and snow. Her coldness was completely unleashed as a world of ice and snow appeared in the air, fighting against Feather King. Jun Mengchen's combat style has always been the most direct. Yi Qianqian's sword strikes were exquisite, while Jun Mengchen used brute force to break his sword strikes. He transformed into a supreme king, letting out a roar of rage that caused the heavens and earth to tremble. His war chariot smashed through the air, akin to a chaotic flood of chaos, unexcelled in this world. Although Yi Qianqian's sword strikes were powerful, he was still in a precarious situation under that tyrannical attack. Zi Qingxian and Qin Ta's battle was equally fascinating. Zi Qingxian transformed into a divine hawk while Qin Ta was like a heavenly deity. In terms of offense, Zi Qingxian was clearly inferior to Jun Mengchen. She had no way to fight like Jun Mengchen, clashing head-on with Qin Ta. She could only use the advantage of the speed of the divine hawk to unceasingly launch attacks at Qin Ta. The speed of the golden flame divine hawk was simply too fast. This was especially so when Zi Qingxian unleashed her bloodline power, releasing divine might. The shadow of the golden flame divine hawk enveloped her entire body. In a single breath of time, she flapped her wings 100 times and transformed into a beam of light, unceasingly blasting out fearsome divine hawk beams. Qin Ta's heavenly deity form attacks would always pass right by her. Such a stifling battle caused Qin Ta to go berserk. The heavenly deity constellation in the air suppressed everything, wanting to bury this entire space. Zi Qingshuan's wings flapped as countless divine falcons appeared in the air, instantly shooting towards Qin Ta. Qin Ta let out a heaven-shaking roar as he blasted out with both his palms. The gigantic palm imprints blotted out the entire space, resembling a true heavenly god. Rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly as more and more condors flew towards the incoming palm imprints as though they were committing suicide. Another boom rang out as a terrifying golden flame condor slammed into Qin Ta's palm imprint. However, at this moment, the palm imprint was directly penetrated through as a beam of light shot towards Qin Ta's head. Qin Ta's countenance drastically changed. He hurriedly used his palms to protect his face, only to see that beam of light directly piercing through his chest, tearing out a piece of flesh and blood. When he opened his eyes, Qin Ta lowered his head and glanced at his injuries. After that, he inclined his head and stared at Zi Qingxian in the air as he spoke. "Your advantage in speed is too great. My attacks are definitely not inferior to yours. But you have lost." Zi Qingxian emotionlessly spoke. She only cared about the ending. I have lost. Qin Ta's countenance turned ashen. He had lost 2 rounds consecutively. This was a humiliation. He had no fate with the top 3. At this moment, Yi Qianqian let out a roar of unwillingness. His body was flung through the air, similarly defeated by Jun Mingchen. Qin Ta and Yi Qianqian were both in extremely miserable states. The 2 of them were chosen by Jun Mingchen and Zi Qingxian, becoming stepping stones. Or more accurately, they were chosen by Qin Wentian. Naturally, there was no helping it. Qin Wentian and the other 2 had very low rankings in the first 2 rounds, and were targeted by Dong Shangting. This was the final battle, and they had to appear in the most domineering manner possible. Even if Dong Shangting's schemes caused them to be unable to stand among the top 3, at the very least, they had a clear conscience in their hearts. They did their best and did their best. For the top 10, they had no way to control the first 2 rounds. This final battle was the only thing they could control. Naturally, they had to do their best. No one would be able to obstruct them. Senior brother. Jun Mingchen called out to Qin Wentian when he saw that Zi Qingshuan's battle had ended. How should they fight next? At this moment, Qin Wentian noticed that the battle between Feather King and Mo1 had also ended. Their battle could be said to be heaven-shaking and extremely intense. At the end, Mo1, a disciple of the Heavenly Talisman realm, was defeated by the number 1 genius of the Western Desert Prefecture, the young king of the Winged Devil race, Feather King. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. The 2 battles between Jun Mingchen and Zi Qingxian were already sufficient to leave a deep impression on the spectators. Next to Jun Mingchen, he needed a victory of a heavyweight level. Mingchen, you will fight Feather King. Feather King had already defeated Mo1. In addition, Feather King would definitely fight Ruthless next. As long as Jun Mingchen ended this heavyweight battle and defeated Feather King, his remaining opponents would only be Gusu Tianqi and Hua Taishu. As for the others, he could directly ignore them. There was no need for him to clash with Mo1. Right? Jun Mingchen's eyes flickered with excitement. Fighting Feather King? He naturally could tell that Feather King was one of the strongest existences in the top 10. This battle caused him to be extremely excited. How arrogant! The spectators at the Immortal Banquet all sighed in admiration. Qin Wentian's battle actually allowed Jun Mingchen to challenge Feather King. How tyrannical! Feather King stared at Jun Mingchen walking towards him. His countenance flashed with sharpness as the violet gold wings on his back fluttered. Dazzling runic patterns could be seen on the surface of his wings. His wings were like an invincible divine weapon. Earlier when he fought against Mo1, his wings gave Mo1 an immense sense of threat. Qingxian, you will fight Ruthless. Qin Wentian spoke to Zi Qingxian. Right? Zi Qingxian nodded as she walked towards the disciple of the undefeatable Devil King. Ruthless, he already had 2 defeats on him. This fellow, it seems that the final battle of the top 10 will be decided by him alone. The spectators stared at Qin Wentian. He stood there and watched as Jun Mingchen attacked Feather King while Zi Qingxian challenged Ruthless. In the blink of an eye, the 2 battles had become extremely violent. This was especially so for the battle between Feather King and Jun Mingchen. Both of them were like kings. Feather King's violet gold wings flashed as he continuously attacked, exuding an aura akin to thunder. Jun Mingchen roared in rage, causing the entire space to tremble. Qin Wentian's countenance was calm as he watched the battle between the 4 of them. He couldn't see through Mingchen's trump card, but he knew that it was definitely extremely powerful. It was like he could borrow a supreme power to augment himself. Although Feather King was very strong, Qin Wentian believed that Jun Mingchen would be able to win against him. He had already tested Ruthless combat prowess. Although Ruthless was powerful, Zi Qingxian should be able to win as well. As for himself, he naturally couldn't fall behind. He stepped back and stared at Qin Ta and Yi Qianqian. The 2 of them were also coldly staring at him, their eyes flickering with an intense anger. Are you angry? Qin Wentian glanced at the 2 of them and spoke. If you are angry, then come at me together. Although the rules don't allow us to gang up on each other, I'm willing to fight against the 2 of you. None of you will be a match for me if you fight alone. Boom! As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice faded, Qin Ta stomped the ground ruthlessly. With a howl of rage, the entire space trembled. Yi Qianqian was like a heavenly god descending from the heavens as a towering storm of sword qi manifested around him. They were all geniuses of the top 10, but Qin Wentian was arrogant enough to tell the two of them to fight together. One of them wouldn't be a match for him. Chapter 879. You are truly arrogant. Qin Ta's voice was hoarse. His body expanded to 10 meters in size, resembling a heavenly deity as he stared down at Qin Wentian. Behind him, the shadow of a 10,000-meter-tall heavenly deity could be seen, capable of crushing all living things. Qin Ta was the second ranker of the Western Desert Prefecture, a genius from the heavenly deity race. On the day of the final battle, he suffered 2 consecutive defeats. Right now, Qin Wentian was arrogant enough to challenge the two of them. Boundless Sword might revolved around Yi Qianqian as he walked step by step towards Qin Wentian. Their rankings in the first 2 rounds weren't high, but weren't they filled with an intense battle intent as well? They wanted to prove themselves in this final battle. This way, even if they couldn't enter the tutelage of the Dongxing Heaven Emperor, they would still have a chance to be accepted as a personal disciple by a powerful immortal king. But now, he had become the target of Qin Wentian's trampling. The two of them actually planned to gang up on Qin Wentian. This was something Qin Wentian had said himself. At the immortal banquet, all the experts present would bear witness. In that case, Qin Wentian would pay a price for his actions. Boom! Resplendent light circulated around Qin Wentian's body as runes flowed on it. It was as though he was clad in a demonic armor. His body expanded to 10 meters in size, similar to Qin Ta. Behind him, a pair of dazzling golden rock wings could be seen flickering unceasingly. Every time they flapped, a strong gust of wind would be generated, tearing apart the void. A violet gold astral soul flashed as his suppression constellation manifested in the air, exuding boundless might. His right hand wielded a sharp sword that gleamed with blood-colored light. He was like a king wielding a sword looking down on the world. Runic light flowed around his left palm, exuding a fearsome might. Qin Ta and Yi Qianqian closed in step by step. When they sensed the might radiating from Qin Wentian, their countenances grew colder and colder. At this moment, Qin Wentian activated his battle art. His already dazzling body once again shone with a dazzling light. It was as if his body had metamorphosed and he had turned into a battle king. Boom boom. After consecutively activating the 3rd level of the battle art, the Qin Wentian now truly seemed like a supreme king. Nobody could shake him. Even the heavenly divine like Qin Wentian felt a stifling pressure from him. As for Yi Qianqian, the hand he used to wield his sword was filled with doubt. He was doubting if the sword in his hand would be able to contend against the king's sword in Qin Wentian's hand. Only when they truly faced Qin Wentian would they be able to clearly sense how strong Qin Wentian was. When Qin Ta and Yi Qianqian saw Qin Wentian's trump cards being unleashed unceasingly, they didn't seem as confident as before. This person dared to say that the two of them would attack together. Was it really just a moment of impulse? However, given such a situation, they could only fight. Qin Ta blasted out with his palm as the shadow of a heavenly divinity appeared. At this instant, the entire space was enveloped by it. This palm seemed to contain the power to lock down the void, causing one to feel that the existence of this palm was extremely powerful. Ordinary characters on the same level as them wouldn't be able to break free at all, and would be directly killed. Just like how Qin Ta and Yi Qianqian could only sense how strong Qin Wentian was when they were facing him, it was the same for them as well. Only when Qin Wentian was facing them would he be able to sense the profoundness and profundity contained within each of their attacks. Qin Wentian's left hand blasted out without hesitation. He didn't evade and chose to attack head-on. His palm circulated with a dazzling runic light. This palm strike seemed to contain the pinnacle of strength, capable of annihilating everything. Almost at the same time, Yi Qianqian's silhouette flickered. His movements were graceful and elegant, as fast as lightning. He directly slashed out with his sword, causing a thunderous sword light to shoot up from below. A beam of destructive light appeared, capable of directly cleaving people into two. Qin Wentian directly lifted his hand and slashed out. Although his sword seemed slow, at the instant he slashed out, sword light erupted forth, slashing apart the void and actually collided perfectly with Yi Qianqian's sword. Palms collided, sword slash sword. Rumbling sounds rang out as the battle directly erupted. Rumble! Qin Ta directly stomped on the platform, moving towards Qin Wentian. Yi Qianqian's silhouette closed in, wanting to get close to Qin Wentian. However, Qin Wentian's wings abruptly flashed as a golden light flashed. He transformed into a wind rock and directly vanished from sight. Qin Ta and Yi Qianqian inclined their heads at the same time. After that, they only saw Qin Wentian transforming into a bolt of golden lightning, akin to a great sage wind rock, moving like the wind. His palm slashed out in rage, directly pressing towards Qin Ta while the sword in his right hand slashed out consecutively, blasting towards Yi Qianqian. Just like how he used his spear arts to deal with ruthless spear arts, he used his strength to deal with Qin Ta's strength, and used his sword to deal with Yi Qianqian's sword. This was no longer a simple battle, he was letting everyone witness his strength, using his strongest stance to appear on the battlefield, silencing those people who doubted his performance in the first 2 rounds. Boom! At the instant Qin Ta and Qin Wentian collided, this time it was a direct clash of palms. Qin Ta was an expert from the heavenly god race and knew that his strength was unparalleled. But when his palms collided with Qin Wentian's, he could clearly feel a terrifying pressure. Qin Wentian's palms seemed indestructible, containing boundless might within them. With just a single strike, Qin Wentian's silhouette vanished once more. Qin Ta didn't even have the time to send out his other palm imprint. Qin Wentian floated in the air as a violet gold light cascaded down from him. Numerous golden figures appeared in the air, resembling divinities. I've said it before, you guys aren't my match. Qin Wentian faintly spoke. After that, his silhouette flickered as he directly soared up into the sky, transforming into an incomparably resplendent beam of golden light. In an instant, it was unknown how high he had reached. Rumble! An instant later, the sound of thunder thundered through the air, so deafening that it felt as though the entire sky was trembling. At this moment, the experts inclined their heads and stared at the sky. The rumbling sounds grew louder and louder, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. Over there seemed to be an incomparably resplendent beam of golden light. Rumble! An even more terrifying sound could be heard. The eyes of the crowd froze. They saw an incomparably gigantic silhouette. It was incomparably magnificent and gigantic. It was hundreds of meters tall, and it swooped down at a terrifying speed like a golden bolt of lightning. Not only was it fast, the strength it exuded caused everyone to feel as though it was the end of the world. Qin Ta's body was like a heavenly deity, but at this moment his eardrums were trembling unceasingly. Staring at that incomparably gigantic silhouette that was getting closer and closer, his heart was pounding. Would he be able to withstand this attack? Yi Qianqian's heart was pounding as well. At this moment, they saw many illusory figures appearing in the air. It was as though there were hundreds of Qin Wentian appearing, blotting out the entire sky. These were all Qin Wentian's illusory figures, and at this moment, it felt as though even the heavens and earth were about to be destroyed. Arg! Qin Ta let out a howl of agony. It felt like his will was about to collapse. Even during the test of his will earlier, he didn't feel so much despair. He had already lost 2 rounds, he couldn't afford to lose again. For this battle, Qin Wentian was challenging the 2 of them. He had to win no matter what. However, when he saw the supreme attack that was about to descend from the sky, how could he win? How could he win? Facing such an attack, would he be able to preserve his life? I concede. Qin Ta roared. Despite how powerful he was, he actually took the initiative to concede, not daring to continue fighting. This roar seemed to have shattered Yi Qianqian's conviction. When he saw that overwhelming attack about to land on him, he also roared, I concede. As the sound of Yi Qianqian's voice faded, the numerous illusory figures transformed into one. From afar, a rumbling sound rang out. That was Qin Wentian unleashing his attack. Busy. The raging wind howled. Qin Wentian's body actually halted abruptly, floating in the air. He transformed back to his 100-meter-tall form, with a pair of terrifying wings. That incomparably tyrannical attack was forcibly halted by him. He cast a glance at Qin Ta and Yi Qianqian below. The purpose of this battle has already been achieved. Before this, he defeated Ruthless, the disciple of the undefeatable Devil King. In this battle he defeated both Qin Ta and Yi Qianqian. In this case, there were already 3 people who were defeated by him. Before him, only Gusu Tianqi, Hua Taishu, Feather King and Imo Wen remained. How powerful! This final battle seems to have become the world of the 3 of them. They are in a hurry to prove themselves, wanting to wash away the humiliation of being ranked lower than them. The hearts of the spectators trembled when they saw Qin Wentian forcing 2 of the top 10 geniuses to concede. How terrifying was this? Right now, there weren't many who could stop Qin Wentian. Maybe Gusu Tianqi would really have to act. Also, there was Hua Taishu whose performance was on par with Gusu Tianqi earlier. From the start of the final battle until now, he had yet to make a move. He should also be extremely powerful, right? No one knew if he would be able to stop Qin Wentian's footsteps. Qin Wentian then turned his gaze onto the battle between Jun Mengchen and Feather King, as well as the battle between Zi Qingxian and Ruthless. The battle had already reached the climax. Feather King had already used all of his trump cards, while Jun Mengchen was incomparably magnificent, causing even Qin Wentian to feel fear in his heart. Right now, Jun Mengchen floated in the air as a piece of clear sky appeared behind him. Or perhaps it could be said that it was a world of its own. That was a diagram of the clear sky world and everything within it could actually move. It was as though the energy within the diagram was something that Jun Mengchen could control. Boom! A stifling pressure abruptly engulfed the heavens and earth. Numerous immortal kings stood up from their seats, as they stared in shock at the transformation that was happening to Jun Mengchen. Heavens, this is... Even the undying immortal king who had lived for countless years couldn't help but exclaim in shock as he stared at Jun Mengchen. Undying immortal king. Many turned their gazes onto the undying immortal king, as looks of bewilderment appeared on their faces. Their eyes gleamed with sharpness as a look of inquiry could be seen on their faces. There's no mistake, it must be him. Such a character actually came to participate in this immortal banquet. The eyes of the undying immortal king gleamed with sharpness. Dong Shengting's eyes also gleamed with sharpness. In fact, beside him, Princess Liuli also stood up as her beautiful eyes gleamed with sharpness. Her father, the person the White Emperor was searching for, was this man? Right now, his attacks are still very simple. I'm afraid he still doesn't know what potential he has. Congratulations to your majesty, this time around, you are truly going to accept a good disciple. The undying immortal king was filled with envy. This time around, the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor had truly picked up a precious disciple. How laughable, Dong Shengting was still making things difficult for him earlier. Chapter 880. Qin Wentian was somewhat bewildered. The phenomenon that appeared on Jun Mengchen's body actually startled all the immortal kings here. Many of them stood up clearly. The phenomenon displayed by Jun Mengchen had shocked them. Seems like junior brother Jun is also extraordinary. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. Most of the people here were immortal kings. To these ancient immortal kings, although they were geniuses with extraordinary talent, there was only a possibility that they could step into the immortal king realm one day. Immortal kings were supreme existences. Celestial phenomenon ascendants were simply too weak. No matter how outstanding one's talent was, it wasn't enough to cause the immortal kings to be too shocked. Hence, from the start till the end, these immortal kings all maintained a calm attitude, watching the selection battle unfold. Very few of them were startled. In addition, the Deep Flame Immortal King was a lofty existence. Although his 3 fellow apprentices all had outstanding talent, the Deep Flame Immortal King still acted in a domineering manner. Because, although their talent was outstanding, there was only a possibility that they could step into the Immortal King realm. But at this instant, all the Immortal Kings actually stood up in unison because of how extraordinary Jun Mengchen was. What did this mean? Did this mean that Jun Mengchen's future achievements had a very high possibility of surpassing the Immortal King realm? After the Immortal Kings recovered from their shock, they returned to their seats. After all, they were supreme existences. It was fine for them to lose their composure occasionally, but they could instantly regain their composure. Although they were seated, their eyes still gleamed with sharpness as they stared at the battle in the air. Dong Shengting was also staring at Jun Mengchen, ignoring the battle between Jun Mengchen and Feather King. It was like that wasn't so important anymore. He also didn't expect that he would see such a legendary phenomenon from Jun Mengchen today. In this case, all the things he did to Jun Mengchen earlier had instead smashed his own foot with a rock. Since such a character had appeared, his father would definitely accept him as a personal disciple. Jun Mengchen had to enter the top 3 no matter what. Just now, he actually used some underhanded means to stop Jun Mengchen from advancing to the top 3. That was truly laughable. Forget it. Since that's the case, this fellow is worth cultivating. After father takes him in as a personal disciple, I'll ask him to cut off all ties with Qin Wentian. I believe he'll know what to do then. Dong Shengting silently speculated in his heart. In front of absolute temptation, let alone ordinary fellow apprentices, even master and disciple might fall out with each other. If his father was willing to nurture Jun Mengchen with all his might, so what if he wanted to sever his relationship with Qin Wentian? Didn't they attend the immortal banquet in search of an opportunity? Now, he was willing to give this opportunity to Jun Mengchen. At this time, the outcome of the battle was finally decided. After Jun Mengchen revealed his powerful trump card, even the tyrannical Feather King was unable to withstand his attack. Feather King was defeated. Feather King's wings flapped as he floated in the air. Traces of blood could be seen on his body as his aura fluctuated wildly. He inclined his head and stared at the incomparably dazzling Jun Mengchen with a trace of reluctance in his heart. However, Jun Mengchen's attack power was simply too terrifying. He had no way to defend against it. On the platform of the final battle, he was defeated for the first time. Not only that, in the previous 2 rounds he didn't even manage to enter the top 2. One was rank number 3 and the other was rank number 4. In this case, it was already extremely dangerous for him to obtain the top 3 rankings. For the following battles, he could only win all of them before he could enter the top 3. Even if he lost one more battle, it would still be an opportunity. In this case, junior apprentice brother Jun only needs to fight 2 more battles. They are against Hua Taishu and Gusu Tianqi. Qin Wentian silently mused. Just at this moment, Jun Mengchen's gaze turned in his direction. Jun Mengchen, who was clad in king armor, exuded an unexcelled aura. When he stared at Qin Wentian, a smile could be seen in his eyes as he called out, "Senior brother, let's take a break. There are only a few battles left for us to fight." Qin Wentian spoke. Jun Mengchen nodded his head as he retracted his aura. However, the atmosphere in the banquet wasn't very calm. It seemed that because of Jun Mengchen, a huge storm had erupted. "Your Highness, this young man's strength is sufficient to enter the top 3. His earlier performances might be inferior, but since this is a selection battle, it's only a matter of time. Given the halo around him, there's no way he would be able to enter the top 3. Beside Dong Shengting, a supreme immortal king from the Dongshengshan Gate spoke. Although his words were vague, he was hinting to Dong Shengting that this Jun Mengchen had to enter the top 3 no matter what. If not, even if the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor didn't accept him as a disciple, he wouldn't have joined the Dongshengshan Gate. Many of the supreme immortal kings here would send voice transmissions to recruit him. Naturally, the one he feared the most was none other than Princess Liuli. Princess Liuli came to participate in the immortal banquet organized by the Dongshengshan Gate. Nobody knew what her purpose was, but since Jun Mengchen displayed the legendary phenomenon, how could Princess Liuli as the daughter of the White Emperor not know? If Jun Mengchen didn't enter the top 3, the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor wouldn't directly accept him as a disciple. In fact, Princess Liuli might even interfere and recruit this supreme genius for the sake of her father, the White Emperor, or more accurately, for the sake of the Chongqing the Great. His talent is truly not bad. Let's see how he performs next. We can indeed consider him as one of the top 3 rankers. Dong Shengting nodded. Everyone instantly understood that Dong Shengting intended for Jun Mengchen to enter the top 3. Your Highness. At this moment, Princess Liuli turned her gaze over as a faint smile flickered in her eyes. Although it was a smile, there was a hint of mysteriousness in it. Before this, Jun Mengchen's performance in the first 2 rounds of the Immortal Banquet was the 6th and the 7th. Such a performance doesn't seem to be anything special. If he performs well in the last round, would he still be able to enter the top 3? Princess Liuli asked. Princess's words are indeed what I'm considering. The purpose of this Immortal Banquet is to select the 3 most outstanding geniuses for my father to accept as his personal disciples. Although this young man wasn't outstanding enough in the first 2 rounds, As long as his performance in the last round is dazzling enough, why wouldn't he be able to enter the top 3? Dong Shengting's voice resonated through the air as he spoke. In that case, the performance of this young man's senior brother, Qin Wentian, isn't in any way inferior to Jun Mengchen. If Jun Mengchen enters the top 3, would Qin Wentian be considered as well? Princess Liuli turned her gaze over to Gu Zhantian as a meaningful smile appeared on her face. If Dong Shengting only chose Jun Mengchen and not Qin Wentian, wouldn't that be unfair? Hence, we still need to see how they perform next. If Qin Wentian's performance is outstanding, he can also enter the top 3. Dong Shengting spoke. Princess Liuli didn't say anything more. Gusu Tianqi, Hua Taishu, Jun Mengchen and Qin Wentian. In addition to the powerful Feather King, there were only 3 spots for the top 3 rankers. She really wanted to see how Dong Shengting would choose. On the battle platform, the battles continued unceasingly. Zi Qingxian defeated Ruthless, causing the expression of the undefeatable Devil King to turn incredibly unsightly. After the start of the final battle, his disciple Ruthless was defeated consecutively, not even winning a single battle. As the master of the undefeatable Devil King, he couldn't hold any face at all. However, this also proved how strong these geniuses were. Even for the disciple of the undefeatable Devil King, Ruthless, he didn't have much of an advantage and was defeated by numerous people. The competition was simply too intense. On the battle platform, Mo1 and Yi Qianqian also started fighting. From the looks of it, Yi Qianqian might be defeated again. He, the number 1 genius of the Qian prefecture, was now in existence that could be trampled on by others. In fact, Gusu Tianqi also started searching for a battle platform. He defeated Ruthless and walked towards Qin Ta, Qin Wentian and Hua Taishu. What they did, he would do the same. To Gusu Tianqi, being number 1 was his only goal. One could very well imagine the pressure Qin Ta felt when facing Gusu Tianqi. He was the same as Yi Qianqian in a very tragic situation. Up till now, he didn't even win a single battle. Seems like for this final battle, Ruthless, Qin Ta and Yi Qianqian are destined to be ranked at the bottom. Their overall ranking wouldn't be able to enter the top 5. The spectators mused silently. This was already destined. In addition, it was already destined that many people wouldn't be able to become one of the top 3 rankers. Other than the 3 of them, Mo1 also had no hope. Even for someone as powerful as Feather King, his chances were extremely slim. Right now, Feather King was staring in the direction of Qin Wentian. His eyes flickered with an intense battle intent, as though he wanted to fight against Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian also saw him. However, Qin Wentian's countenance was indifferent, without a trace of emotion. It was as though Feather King wasn't an opponent he wanted to fight against. Feather King also noticed Qin Wentian's gaze. He walked towards Qin Wentian step by step, his countenance incomparably lofty. His violet gold wings flickered, exuding a terrifying might. Step aside. Qin Wentian glanced at Feather King as he emotionlessly spoke. Feather King's wings flickered as he rushed out like a raging wind. In an instant, he appeared before Qin Wentian. He lifted his palms and blasted out, akin to a terrifying sharp claw that tore apart space. Qin Wentian coldly snorted. He lifted his right hand and launched an attack, causing the ancient bell chimes to reverberate unceasingly. At this instant, numerous ancient bells blasted out unceasingly, causing rumbling sounds to shake the heavens and earth. Feather King roared in rage, wanting to crush Qin Wentian with a single strike. The ancient bell chimes rang out unceasingly. Beams of calamity light slammed into Feather King, causing his soul to tremble. Qin Wentian's entire body was enveloped by an intense battle halo. When Feather King stared at Qin Wentian, all he saw was a dazzling battle halo. Bang! Finally, Feather King could no longer withstand the unceasing attacks of the ancient bells. With a flap of his wings, he retreated while Qin Wentian stood at his original location, coldly staring at him. Qingxian, do your best to win this battle. Qin Wentian spoke. Zi Qingxian walked over and stood opposite of Feather King. A pair of divine falcon wings appeared on her back as well, gleaming with a dazzling light. Feather King's eyes narrowed. Qin Wentian wanted Zi Qingxian to fight against him. As for Qin Wentian himself, it seemed that he couldn't be bothered to fight against him. After Qin Wentian swept through a few people, he felt that there was no longer a need to use Feather King to establish his might. Right now, his gaze was no longer on Feather King. Boom! Feather King's aura towered up into the sky. After being defeated by Jun Mingchen, Qin Wentian actually refused to fight against him. How much contempt was this? Chapter 881. Feather King and Zi Qingxian both had a pair of wings on their backs. Their violet gold wings shone resplendently, incomparably resplendent. The two of them instantly clashed against each other, and in just an instant violet gold light filled the air, clashing countless times. Their attacks are both so fast, not only that, they are also extremely powerful. The hearts of the spectators trembled. Every time the two of them attacked, the air would tremble, and a storm would sweep out. In just a short while, a terrifying tornado had actually gathered around them. This cylindrical violet gold tornado swept through the air and rose up. The two of them also rose up along with the tornado, continuing to fight towards the sky. Even the gazes of the spectators were directed upwards, watching the shocking battle. If Feather King can't win this battle, he would have no chance at all. Before him there's still Gusu Tianqi and Hua Taishu, and now there's even a Jun Mingchen. Qin Wentian didn't even bother to fight against him. From this, one could very well imagine the pressure Feather King is under. An immortal king spoke in a low voice. The top 10 geniuses were simply too terrifying. Leaving aside the dazzling Gusu Tianqi, as well as the low-profile Hua Taishu, Jun Mingchen and Qin Wentian, which one of them would be weak? Qin Ta from the heavenly god race, who was as tyrannical as a heavenly deity, as well as Yi Qianchen with his supreme sword arts, both of them actually became existences at the bottom of the top 10. There was also the young king of the Sky Devil race, Feather King. First, he was defeated by Jun Mingchen. Gusu Tianqi and Qin Wentian didn't even treat him as an opponent. This was simply too crazy. Those immortal kings also sighed in admiration. Being able to see so many outstanding juniors fighting against each other was an extremely interesting thing. It was like seeing themselves back then. Very swiftly, Gusu Tianqi defeated Qin Ta, and Mo Wen defeated Yi Qianchen. Qin Ta and Yi Qianchen were destined to be ranked at the bottom, not having a single victory. It wasn't that they weren't strong, but rather, their opponents were simply too terrifying. The battles continued. Other than Hua Taishu, who hadn't participated yet, the others were all fighting with all their might. Myriad incarnations, immortal king. This disciple of yours doesn't seem to be interested in fame. The undying old immortal king spoke to the beautiful immortal king. Hua Taishu hadn't even fought a single battle. Even if he entered the top 3, I'm still reluctant to see him enter the tutelage of His Majesty. In addition, since he walked out from the world of reincarnation, his temperament is naturally different from others. Hence, what he wants is different from others. The myriad incarnations immortal king laughed. The undying immortal king nodded his head. This was indeed the case. Everyone who stepped onto the battle platform had their own goals. Gusu Tianqi's name shook the entire Eastern Prefecture. He wanted to prove himself with a single battle, becoming the top ranker of the Eastern Prefecture, continuing the glory of his ancestors. As for the other geniuses, there were those who wanted to become disciples of the Dongshang Heaven Emperor, and there were also geniuses who wanted to attract the attention of the supreme existences of the Dongshangshan Gate. All of them had their own goals. Only Hua Taishu was different. No one knew what he was thinking. The tempest of battle continued. Feather King and Zi Qingshuan's battle grew more and more terrifying. Their battle in the air could be said to be world-shaking. Qin Wentian and Jun Mingchen were both spectating. Hua Taishu and Gusu Tianqi were also spectating. The four of them seemed to have nothing to do. Hua Taishu's gaze slowly turned over, landing on Qin Wentian. His countenance was as calm as ever, as though nothing could affect him. It seems like there's really a predestined relationship between us. Hua Taishu smiled at Qin Wentian. His smile was extremely natural, exuding a carefree aura. There wasn't the slightest bit of hatred in it. Qin Wentian stared at Hua Taishu. He also smiled and nodded his head. When I was 16, I met you. At that time, you were already the top ranker of the Heavenly Fate rankings. After that, I also obtained the same fame as you. After that, we met again in the immortal martial realm. Maybe it's like what you said. It's just that our predestined relationship is lacking a battle. That's exactly what I was thinking. Hua Taishu smiled at Qin Wentian. On the battle platform, the only thing I wanted to do was to fight against you. Now are you prepared? Qin Wentian nodded. The two of them stood facing each other. At this instant, it was as though only the two of them were left on the battle platform. This was a battle that belonged to them, a battle that should have happened a long time ago. It's just that the battle had been delayed until today. The various immortal kings stared at the two of them as bewildered expressions appeared on their faces. From the conversation between Hua Taishu and Qin Wentian, it seemed like they were already acquainted with each other. At that time, Qin Wentian was only 16 years old. How interesting. However, the myriad incarnations immortal king and the undying immortal king weren't surprised. They knew that Qin Wentian and Hua Taishu came from the same particle world. Given their talent, it was only natural for them to have interacted with each other in their particle world. Hua Taishu is about to battle against Qin Wentian. This battle is extremely important. Hua Taishu's earlier performance, being first in the first round and second in the second round. His probability of entering the top 3 was the same as Gusu Tianqi. If he defeated Qin Wentian, there was no doubt that he would be one of the top 3. After all, Qin Wentian had already defeated several people. But what if Qin Wentian defeated Hua Taishu? Would Dong Shengting allow a supreme genius who was ranked last in the first round to enter the top 3? This battle caused everyone to be filled with anticipation. Jun Mengchen and Gusu Tianqi both stood there, staring at Qin Wentian and Hua Taishu. The two of them were also filled with anticipation, wondering who would be the victor. Jun Mengchen naturally believed in Qin Wentian. Although they were tricked in the first 2 rounds, causing their rankings to be bad, for this final battle, they definitely had to shock everyone, trampling on the geniuses. Who would dare to doubt them? Even if the top 3 rankings weren't given to them, they would have no regrets. They had already done their best, and didn't let down the expectations of the heavenly talisman realm. Even if they didn't pass the test, that was their fate. The spectators only saw Hua Taishu and Qin Wentian standing there, incomparably calm. In fact, they didn't even move at all. The only strange thing was that in the center of Qin Wentian's brows, a dazzling beam of light could be seen shooting out from it. In the airspace above him, a dreamlike scene appeared, the Dreamworld constellation. The two of them who didn't seem to have exchanged blows had already started their battle. The two of them entered an illusory space. This was Qin Wentian's Dreamworld constellation, which was also Hua Taishu's illusory space. Hua Taishu's eyes were capable of combat. This point had already been proven before, no one would doubt it. His master was the myriad incarnations immortal king, who was proficient in illusions. Hua Taishu himself had also entered the world of reincarnation and exited it safely. He didn't die, nor did he go insane. The two of them were now in an independent space. Here there was the Dreamworld constellation, yet there were many Hua Taishu's silhouettes flickering unceasingly. An illusory space? In the earlier battle, Hua Taishu also used the same method, causing his opponent to have no way to retaliate. Qin Wentian silently mused. In this illusory space, any Hua Taishu's silhouettes could be nothing but illusions. Numerous Hua Taishu's silhouettes walked towards Qin Wentian. All of them wielded long spears in their hands, and one of them directly stabbed out with his spear, aiming for Qin Wentian. This spear strike contained a terrifying might within. Qin Wentian waved his hands as a fearsome light circulated within his palms, directly shattering the spear. That silhouette directly disintegrated, as though it was nothing but an illusion. Easy. Yet another attack blasted over. Qin Wentian responded with yet another palm strike. This time it was still an illusion. The spectators in the outside world only saw Qin Wentian attacking unceasingly under the effects of the constellation, causing them to feel fear in their hearts. Hua Taishu's illusory arts were simply too powerful. Qin Wentian had clearly already fallen into a trap. However, at this moment, the spectators saw boundless sword might radiating from Qin Wentian. That was a terrifying storm of sword qi, as the sword slaughter constellation was unleashed. Within the illusory space, the sword slashed out, tearing apart numerous Hua Taishu's silhouettes. However, new illusions appeared unceasingly, as though there would be no end to this. In front of him, yet another spear strike shot over. This spear strike contained a terrifying might within. Qin Wentian stared at the incoming long spear as countless illusions appeared in his mind. In front of him there was no one attacking him. To him now, it was as though he was back in the sky harmony city of Chu. Snowflakes drifted down from the sky, and Mo Qingcheng was clad in a pure white robe, resembling a celestial maiden as she stared back at him amidst the drifting snow. In just an instant numerous scenes appeared in his mind, as though he was experiencing it in reality. Not good. Qin Wentian's sense of vigilance was extremely strong. His aura abruptly erupted forth as he unleashed his battle art. His bloodline power surged as he roared in rage. Momentarily, the chimes of ancient bells rang out as he blasted out with both his palms. Terrifying rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly as a long spear gleaming with destructive light flashed past. Qin Wentian saw the calm expression in Hua Taishu's eyes. That's his true body. Qin Wentian's heart trembled. His true body was fused with the millions of illusions, and his spear strike contained a powerful illusory art that could directly affect the will of his opponent. In an instant, it would cause other scenes to appear in his opponent's mind. At this moment, the true killing intent of Hua Taishu bore down on him. How terrifying was this killing move? In the illusory space, millions of illusory figures flickered. It was impossible to tell which one was real and which was fake. Hua Taishu's ability was different from the others, but the danger he posed was extremely high. If it wasn't for his firm will earlier, he would have already been defeated. If it was someone else, Hua Taishu could kill his opponent with a single strike if he wanted to. Everything is an illusion. It's impossible to break it with one's will alone. An immortal king sighed in admiration. Hua Taishu's illusory arts were extremely powerful. Among the 10 geniuses, which of them could break it? Qin Wentian could also sense that this type of illusory technique wasn't something that could be broken through by someone with a powerful will. His body glowed with a faint white light, and an instant later, a pure white holy flame ignited around him. Runic inscriptions flowed around his body, and this flame congregated in the third eye in the center of his brows. At this instant even his eyes turned white. White flames could be seen burning in his eyes, extremely terrifying to the extreme. Bzz. Those illusory figures directly ignited, burning under the fearsome gaze of his eyes. From an illusory figure, they turned into an illusory figure. Chapter 882. Hua Taishu's abilities were unique. If one wanted to defeat him, they couldn't simply rely on their attacks. First, they had to break through the illusions. Only by breaking through Hua Taishu's illusions would they have a chance to defeat him. If not, they wouldn't even know where Hua Taishu was. How could they even fight? Qin Wentian's eyes were infused with the power of a second bloodline. Both his eyes shone with white runic light. Numerous Hua Taishu silhouettes were directly engulfed in flames, turning illusory. One after another, Hua Taishu's silhouettes shot towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian inclined his head only to see that the silhouettes were all engulfed in flames, unable to advance any further. In the surrounding space, more and more Hua Taishu silhouettes appeared, but all of them were engulfed in flames, transforming into beams of illusory light. Hua Taishu's true body appeared before Qin Wentian, so clear and distinct. However, at this moment, Hua Taishu's eyes were also changing. His eyes seemed to be able to revolve, resembling an incomparably deep vortex that could swallow people within. In fact, runic light could even be seen flickering in his eyes. Instantly, an even stronger illusion appeared. Qin Wentian couldn't shift his gaze away even if he wanted to. That pair of eyes was deeply imprinted into his mind. In his mind, many illusions appeared. Not only in his mind, there were even many silhouettes appearing before his eyes. There was the silhouette of Qing Air, Mo Qingcheng, Uncle Black. It was as though everything he had experienced in the past flashed before his eyes, causing Qin Wentian to sink into the illusions once more. These two, those immortal kings, were all stunned. That pair of terrifying eyes seemed to be a battle of eye techniques. Myriad incarnations, what about your disciple Hua Taishu's eyes? The undying immortal king stared at the beautiful immortal king as he asked. He cultivated this out himself. I merely played a supporting role. This was something he experienced in the samsara world, experiencing 9 lives of samsara before he had a fortuitous encounter. This pair of eyes can cause people to sink into samsara. No matter how many things you have experienced in the past, it can allow you to recall them, and even create other reincarnation illusions. For those with weak wills, they wouldn't even be able to withstand a single strike from this pair of eyes. The myriad incarnations immortal king spoke with a hint of arrogance. Hua Taishu's achievements weren't simply because she was his master. A master was only there to guide him. The most important thing for cultivation was to depend on oneself. Hua Taishu's eyes were something that even she, an immortal king, had no way to achieve. The world of reincarnation is known as the Forbidden Land. As expected, the opportunities here are great. You really dare to let him enter? The undying immortal king sighed. There were some forbidden grounds in the immortal realms that were extremely terrifying. Very few people dared to enter because they would die the moment they entered. The world of reincarnation was one of the most terrifying forbidden grounds. It was a miniature particle world. That's his own courage. If he didn't enter the world of samsara, how would he be able to obtain this pair of samsara eyes? The myriad incarnations immortal king smiled at her disciple. However, this Qin Wentian isn't simple as well. Look at his eyes, they are extremely terrifying as well. The undying immortal king laughed. Everyone only saw Qin Wentian and Hua Taishu staring at each other. Qin Wentian's entire body shone with a white light as he unleashed a terrifying battle art. Hua Taishu was proficient in illusionary techniques. In that case, his attacks would naturally be weaker in terms of strength. This was Hua Taishu's weakness. Only by breaking apart Hua Taishu's illusions and suppressing them with force would he be able to defeat his opponent. Qin Wentian stepped out. It was like all the illusions in the surroundings were seen through by him, not entering his eyes at all. When Hua Taishu saw this scene, the light in his eyes grew even more terrifying. His pupils spun rapidly, causing the entire space around him to twist and distort, forcibly pulling Qin Wentian into another illusory space. Over here, there were countless familiar figures of Qin Wentian floating before Qin Wentian's eyes. Calm your heart. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. A terrifying aura abruptly gushed forth as he dashed towards Hua Taishu. At this moment, a silhouette appeared in front of him. That silhouette was none other than Mo Qingcheng. It was so realistic, it was as though the real Mo Qingcheng had appeared right in front of him. Qin Wentian furrowed his brows, his aura fluctuated slightly. This was Mo Qingcheng. How should he act against her? In the next instant he saw a pair of eyes that could cause people to sink into samsara. This pair of eyes directly penetrated through his white eyes. Instantly, numerous scenes appeared in his mind. He saw a towering immortal palace, he saw his parents. Over there, experts were as common as the clouds, as though something major had happened. Numerous powerful existences that resembled fiend gods radiated their might, engulfing the heavens and earth. Everything was so clear it was like a samsara that belonged to him. Careful! In the outside world, Jun Mingchen exclaimed in shock. Hua Taishu's long spear was already nearing Qin Wentian's throat. This spear strike was too fast, so fast that even Jun Mingchen and Zi Qingxian were on tenterhooks. A violent demonic roar rang out as a terrifying demonic qi erupted forth, protecting Qin Wentian's body, directly blocking the long spear. And at the same instant, Qin Wentian opened his eyes. Hua Taishu retreated backwards. However, Qin Wentian's aim was precisely this strike. How could he allow his opponent to retreat? Terrifying rumbling sounds rang out as numerous golden silhouettes descended from the sky, suppressing everything, sealing off Hua Taishu's path of retreat. Both his palms blasted out explosively as runic light filled the sky, capable of plucking the stars and seizing the moon, as well as containing a scorching heat that seemed capable of destroying everything. Upon seeing this scene, Hua Taishu's silhouette shuddered. In an instant, numerous silhouettes manifested, both real and illusory, as though they were real existences. These silhouettes flickered in the air, with resplendent runic light shimmering on their backs. They lifted their palms to attack, stacking their attacks on top of each other, transforming into a single attack that collided with Qin Wentian's terrifying palm imprints, resulting in a direct explosion. At the same time, Qin Wentian felt numerous samsara eyes staring at him, wanting to penetrate through his eyes. Instantly, countless scenes flashed through his mind. There were things that happened in reality, as well as illusions that didn't exist. Boom! Qin Wentian ignited both his bloodlines. Pure white runic light radiated from his body, akin to divine flames. His eyes grew even more terrifying. With just a single glance, he was able to see through all the silhouettes of Hua Taishu, locating the location of Hua Taishu's true body. The numerous silhouettes of Hua Taishu all lifted their spears and stabbed towards Qin Wentian. Each spear strike seemed to bore into Qin Wentian's eyes. If one looked carefully, they would be able to see countless scenes flashing through Qin Wentian's eyes. If it wasn't for the fact that Qin Wentian's bloodline was so terrifying, there was no way for him to fight against Hua Taishu. At this moment, a terrifying light flickered in Qin Wentian's eyes. He inclined his head and roared in rage, "Come down!" As the sound of his voice faded, the suppression annihilation astral soul in the air unceasingly manifested numerous golden silhouettes that descended from the skies. Accompanied by thunderous rumbling sounds, these golden silhouettes stood in different directions, faintly forming into an extremely powerful diagram. One of Hua Taishu's golden silhouettes felt a stifling pressure at this instant. That diagram's glow, other than containing a suppressive might, was also exuding an incomparably mysterious energy that sealed this entire space. Boom! Tens of thousands of silhouettes appeared at the same time. Qin Wentian ignored all the attacks. With a roar of rage, the tens of thousands of silhouettes all blasted out a terrifying punch in a single direction. Terrifying white runic flames flowed through the air. Everywhere they passed by, everything was reduced to ashes. Hua Taishu's original body was currently trapped within the terrifying suppression diagram, and for a period of time, he had no way to extricate himself. Boom, boom, boom. Numerous terrifying attacks exploded in front of Hua Taishu. Hua Taishu finally managed to extricate himself from the suppression diagram as he retreated abruptly, floating in the air. His eyes gradually returned to normal, turning calm as he stared at Qin Wentian. "Seems like the number one of Granxia is still you." After experiencing 9 reincarnations, he was defeated once again when he faced off against Qin Wentian today. His strength lay in his illusions. Very few people on the same level as him could break through his illusions. Even experts with a higher cultivation base wouldn't be able to do so. However, Qin Wentian actually had the ability to break through his illusions. And in terms of attacks, he was clearly at a disadvantage. His attacks weren't as strong as Qin Wentian's. He was very clear about this point. Defeated. When the spectators heard Hua Taishu's words, they couldn't help but feel a sense of melancholy in their hearts. This was too fascinating, 2 geniuses contending against each other on the battle platform. But ultimately, Hua Taishu was defeated. As for the number one of Granxia and his words, the spectators didn't understand. But Qin Wentian understood. Their hometown was Granxia, and both of them originated from Granxia. Most probably, this was Hua Taishu's obsession. The two of them, from Granxia all the way to the vast immortal realms, Qin Wentian was still able to suppress Hua Taishu in every aspect. Why is there a need to determine who's number one, and who's number two? Wouldn't it be better if more demon-level geniuses of Granxia emerged? Qin Wentian spoke. Right? Hua Taishu smiled and nodded. As for those at the immortal banquet, the countenances of the spectators were all extremely fascinating. The myriad incarnations immortal king froze for a moment before she stared at Qin Wentian and smiled. What a demon-level genius. Both of them are talents with great potential. This disciple of yours has already reached the peak of perfection in his illusions. In the future, his accomplishments in illusions might even surpass you. If he can make up for his other aspects, it's hard to imagine what kind of character he would be able to create. The undying immortal king stroked his beard as he laughed. Even he wanted to train Qin Wentian. Not bad. At this moment, Dong Shengting also spoke. His gaze was fixed on Qin Wentian on the battle platform, as he felt a complicated feeling in his heart. Qin Wentian actually defeated Qin Wentian. In that case, which ranking should he place Qin Wentian in? At this moment, Qin Wentian also turned his gaze over. Dong Shengting smiled and continued, "Back then, you have already displayed outstanding talent. My royal father initially wanted to accept you as a disciple, but sadly, you rejected my royal father's suggestion of 1,000 years of tempering. But since you are able to make a comeback, it's not bad at all. However, let me ask you, if the things back then could happen again, would you agree to my royal father's suggestion of 1,000 years of tempering?" When Dong Shengting spoke this sentence, his eyes gleamed with sharpness as he stared at Qin Wentian. This caused the hearts of many to tremble. This sentence had a deep meaning behind it. One could even say that Dong Shengting was giving Qin Wentian a chance to become one of the top 3 rankers. Qin Wentian stared at Dong Shengting with a calm countenance. After which, he slowly spoke, "1,000 years is too long, but my heart is still the same." Chapter 883. My heart is still the same. Qin Wentian's voice was filled with resolution. If this was a rematch, even if he didn't know that the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor was doing this on purpose, he would still reject it. To immortal kings, 1,000 years might pass by in the blink of an eye. But to him who has only lived for tens of years, 1,000 years was simply too long. Maybe, Qin Wentian also understood the meaning behind Dong Shengting's words. Maybe Dong Shengting was probing him, wanting to see if Qin Wentian knew how to compromise, and if he knew how to lower his head. If he lowered his head now, he would do so again in the future. Hence to Dong Shengting, if Qin Wentian was willing to lower his head, he was willing to give Qin Wentian a chance to enter the top 3 and enter the tutelage of his royal father. In the future he would grind away the wanton and unrestrained aura from him, allowing him to become someone who truly knew how to be loyal. However, Qin Wentian was still the same. Qin Wentian could also try to curry favor with Dong Shengting. However, this would go against his heart. As a cultivator, one's heart had to be firm. Even if he couldn't enter the top 3, he would. This selection process to him was the true tempering exercise. Naturally, for the sake of perfection, he would do his best to become one of the top 3. But he wouldn't do it against his heart. The eyes of the immortal kings gleamed with sharpness as they stared at Qin Wentian. This young man defeated Hua Taishu, and although he was ranked last in the first round, he was still one of the top 3 in the second round. In addition to his outstanding performance today, it wouldn't be impossible for him to enter the top 3. Dong Shengting's words seemed to be hinting at him. However, he rejected it with no hesitation because his heart was still the same. His heart would never change. His heart is resolute. He's a good material. Not bad. Dong Shengting smiled. As for what he was thinking in his heart, only Dong Shengting himself would know. Senior Myriad Transformation's disciple Hua Taishu is also a dragon among men. How terrifying are those samsara eyes of his. In the future, if he is tempered by an immortal king, he would be able to consign his enemies to eternal damnation with a single glance. If my royal father saw him, he would surely like him. Dong Shengting laughed as he praised. Although you lost this battle, it's also an honor to be defeated. In addition, your performance in the previous 2 rounds, you were ranked 1st and 2nd respectively. Only Gusu Tianqi can be compared to you. The spectators could hear the meaning behind Dong Shengting's words. It seemed that Dong Shengting intended to place Hua Taishu within the top 3. If Hua Taishu was one of the top 3 rankers, Gusu Tianqi should be one of them as well. Who was the other person? The gazes of many turned to Jun Mengchen. Given the talent Jun Mengchen displayed, Dong Shengting would definitely allow him to enter the top 3. In that case, there were no more spots left for the top 3 rankers. At this moment, intense sounds of collision rang out in the airspace above Guzhantian. Before this, the attention of everyone was focused on the battle between Qin Wentian and Hua Taishu, yet they neglected the battle between Feather King and Zi Qingxian. Their battle in the air was extremely violent, clashing head-on with each other, causing even the sky to shatter. At this moment in the air, Feather King seemed to have summoned a supreme ancient devil of the winged devil race, transforming into a true king of the winged devil race. His physique was incomparably terrifying while Zi Qingxuan's body seemed to be burning. The golden flame divine falcon protected behind her as boundless golden flames circulated around it. At this moment Zi Qingxian seemed to have transformed into a divine falcon. The ancient devil and divine falcon fought in the air, causing the entire space to tremble. Eventually, the divine falcon defeated the feathered devil race, tearing apart its wings. However, the divine falcon was also injured, but ultimately, Zi Qingxian seemed to have the upper hand. The two of them floated in the air. Both had a pair of gigantic wings on their backs. Their gazes were incomparably sharp as they stared at each other. It was as though a towering battle intent was burning within them. Busy. A terrifying bolt of lightning shot out as the Feather King howled in rage. Zi Qingxian let out a thunderous roar as the golden flame divine falcon radiated with boundless shadow light. In an instant, the light from the Feather King skyrocketed as a gigantic divine falcon manifested, enveloping everything in its path. Countless illusory divine falcons flew out, unceasingly slamming into the body of the Feather King. Finally, just as the Feather King was about to slam into Zi Qingxian, the divine falcon's talons slammed down, slamming the Feather King and the Feather Devil through the air. It's over. Zi Qingxian actually won against the Feather King. The spectators stared at the air. They didn't expect this battle to be so fascinating. Qin Wentian and his two companions actually didn't suffer a single defeat. It was very hard to imagine why the rankings of the three of them were so low. For this final battle, it could be said that they were invincible. Among the top 10, other than Gusu Tianqi and Hua Taishu, the other three spots belonged to them. Qin Wentian glanced at Jun Mingchen and Zi Qingxian before turning his gaze to Gusu Tianqi. This tempering exercise was nearing its end. Senior brother, next, I will fight against Hua Taishu while you fight against Gusu Tianqi. How about it? At this moment, Jun Mingchen stared at Qin Wentian as his eyes flickered with an intense light of excitement. It was as though a battle could excite him. Jun Mingchen wanted to sweep the entire platform clean. Qin Wentian stared at Jun Mingchen. He didn't doubt the strength and talent of this junior brother of his. However, if Jun Mingchen fought against Hua Taishu, Qin Wentian still didn't feel very optimistic about Jun Mingchen. Jun Mingchen was proficient in offense. His attacks were extremely powerful, and when he unleashed the clear sky worldly diagram, he was like a supreme war king that could slay gods if he met them. However, Hua Taishu was proficient in illusions, and as long as one couldn't break through his illusions, no matter how strong one's attacks were, it would be useless. If Hua Taishu fought against Jun Mingchen, there was no doubt that Jun Mingchen would win for sure. However, this situation was clearly impossible. If Jun Mingchen fought against Hua Taishu would definitely force him into an illusion. Whether or not Jun Mingchen could defeat Hua Taishu would depend on whether he could break through the illusions and dispel that terrifying whirlpool of samsara eyes. There's no need for that. My battle has already ended, and I have no intention to continue. Hua Taishu calmly replied, his words causing Qin Wentian to start, as he stared at Hua Taishu in bewilderment. He stared into Hua Taishu's eyes, only to see a hint of a smile in them. Qin Wentian instantly understood what Hua Taishu was thinking. To him, this was a tempering exercise. Wasn't it the same for Hua Taishu as well? In addition, Hua Taishu was the personal disciple of the myriad incarnations Immortal King. He had no intentions of taking the Eastern Sage Immortal King as his master. The top 3 rankings were meaningless to him. This battle was already sufficient for him, Qin Wentian. Hua Taishu understood his own illusions, and he also knew that he was still lacking. In the future, on his path of cultivation, he would make sure to perfect himself. Hua Taishu actually doesn't wish to continue fighting. The spectators were all bewildered. Since he refused to fight, that meant that there was only one opponent left for Qin Wentian and his fellow apprentices. The number 1 genius of the Eastern continent, Gusu Tianqi. Gusu Tianqi stared at the three of them as he slowly spoke. Finally, I shall fight against you guys. After speaking, Gusu Tianqi walked towards the opponents he had never challenged before. His goal was different from Hua Taishu. He wanted to become the most dazzling character in this immortal banquet. All his opponents would be defeated by him. Let's rest. Qin Wentian, Jun Mingchen and Zi Qingxian stood on the ancient battle platform as they watched the other battles. Emowen defeated Qin Ta and Yi Qianchen. Ruthless also did the same. Qin Ta and Yi Qianchen were destined to be the last two. Qin Ta was the victor of their battle. Feather King defeated Emowen before. His ranking should be number 6. The rankings of the remaining 5 were already determined. Feather King, Emowen, Ruthless, Qin Ta and Yi Qianchen. In addition, there wouldn't be too much of a dispute. Even someone as powerful as Feather King could only be ranked number 5. Naturally, this was the best ranking for the final battle. It could also be the final ranking depending on Dong Shangting's thoughts. In the final ranking, he could also place Feather King in front of Zi Qingxian. But no matter what, this battle was already nearing its end. Gusu Tianqi swept through the other 5 participants, All of them had been defeated by him before. Not a single one was spared. After that, he didn't continue fighting. He sat down cross-legged and started to recuperate. On the ancient battle platform there was a rare moment of silence. Even the immortal banquet quietened down. Everyone knew that the final battle was about to begin. Qingxian, can you defeat Gusu Tianqi? Qin Wentian transmitted his voiceover. Zi Qingxian had seen Gusu Tianqi's other battles, and should have an idea of how strong he would be. I will lose. Zi Qingxian didn't conceal anything and directly replied. It wasn't easy for her to defeat Feather King, but Gusu Tianqi's victory over Feather King was extremely domineering, erupting forth with a shocking amount of energy. If she fought against Gusu Tianqi, the ending could already be predicted. In that case, do you still want to fight? Qin Wentian asked again. There's no need. Although I have no fate with the top 3, I've already gained a lot from this trip. My tempering exercise shall end here. Why must I seek another defeat? Zi Qingxian straightforwardly replied. She admitted that she was inferior to Gusu Tianqi. It wasn't that she didn't have the courage to fight. It was just that from her point of view there was no longer a need to. How many of you still want to continue fighting? If we stop here, the rankings can be directly revealed. At this moment, Dong Shengting's eyes gleamed with sharpness as he spoke. If we stop here, who will be the top 3? Jun Mengchen stared at Dong Shengting as he asked. Gusu Tianqi was first in the first round and second in the second. He won all 5 of his battles and the others didn't dare to issue a challenge. He shall be ranked first. Hua Taishu was first in the first round and second in the second. Although he was defeated once, it doesn't diminish his brilliance. He shall be ranked second. Jun Mengchen has a unique physique. Although his performance in the first 2 rounds was ordinary, he was undefeated in the final battle. He shall be ranked third. Qin Wentian, although he was ranked last in the first round, he defeated Hua Taishu in the final battle, and was undefeated. He shall be ranked fourth. Dong Shengting slowly spoke. Jun Mengchen directly interrupted. For the first 2 rounds, senior brother Qin obtained the top 3 in the second round and defeated Hua Taishu in this round. His battle result isn't inferior to mine. Why am I in the top 3 but senior brother Qin isn't? Also, if senior brother Qin and I defeat Gusu Tianqi, what would our rankings be? The selection test of the Immortal Banquet is based on one's overall strength. The talent you displayed is unique, and if you can defeat both Gusu Tianqi and Hua Taishu, I can even allow you to be ranked first. Even if you are defeated, you shall still be ranked third. As for Qin Wentian, even if he defeated Gusu Tianqi and obtained the first position in this round, his overall ranking shouldn't be higher than Gusu Tianqi or Hua Taishu. Dong Shengting's meaning was extremely clear. He was willing to give Jun Mengchen a spot in the top 3, but he was determined to push Qin Wentian to the 4th position. For the first 2 rounds he allowed Qin Wentian to obtain the best ranking. And now it seemed that he was playing a crucial role, preventing Qin Wentian from entering the top 3. Chapter 884. Dong Shengting could also be considered extremely intelligent. Before this, he had already calculated everything. Based on the rankings, even if Qin Wentian was ranked first, he would still be at a disadvantage when compared to Hua Taishu and Gusu Tianqi. However, everyone understood in their hearts that the weight of the final battle was the heaviest. But since Dong Shengting was the host of the Immortal Banquet in place of his father, Dong Shengheaven Emperor, no matter what he said, nobody would dare to refute him. Before this, Dong Shengting's targeting of Qin Wentian was still a little obscure. But now, as Qin Wentian stood out, it was already more obvious. Naturally, everyone also understood that before this, Dong Shengting had given Qin Wentian a chance but was rejected by Qin Wentian. This seemed to have already determined the ending. Just like what the Deep Flame Immortal King had said, the ending was already set in stone. Your Highness. At this moment Princess Liuli called out. Dong Shengting turned his gaze over and stared at Princess Liuli as he smiled. Princess, what's the matter? Your Highness once said that if Qin Wentian is outstanding enough, he would definitely be able to enter the top 3. But why are you saying this now? Princess Liuli replied. I'm only a little curious. If it's inconvenient for your Highness to say it, it's fine as well. After all, this is the immortal banquet hosted by the Dongshangshan Gate. I shouldn't be too nosy. I'm sure Princess's question is also the same question in the hearts of many. Dongshengting laughed. For this immortal banquet, firstly, it's to see the geniuses of our Eastern Sage 13 prefectures. Secondly, it's to recruit geniuses into the immortal sect, and thirdly, it's to recruit disciples for my royal father. Princess might not know this, but Qin Wentian's talent is so outstanding that my royal father wanted to take him in as a disciple, allowing him to follow the deep flame immortal king for 1,000 years. However, he wasn't willing to endure for 1,000 years, feeling that it was too long, and rejected my royal father's suggestion. Hence, my royal father was unhappy and decided to retract his decision. This time, Qin Wentian's comeback was originally a good thing. Before this, I've also asked him if he was willing to undergo 1,000 years of tempering if he was given another chance. However, he rejected once again. Princess has already seen for yourself that his personality is too arrogant, disregarding everything in his eyes. I'm worried that my royal father wouldn't be happy about this. Gusu Tianqi, I believe my royal father would be even more satisfied. In addition, Gusu Tianqi's performance in the immortal banquet was already extremely domineering. Although he was defeated in the final battle, he wasn't inferior to Gusu Tianqi by much. Gusu Tianqi is like this, Hua Taishu is the same as well. If Gusu Tianqi enters the top 3 while Hua Taishu doesn't, wouldn't that be too unfair? Dong Shengting spoke frankly with assurance. After which, he turned to Qin Wentian. Naturally, there's no harm in doing so. Our Dongshangshan Gate will still send Supreme Immortal Kings to personally guide Qin Wentian and observe him. If his performance is outstanding, he would still be able to become a sage child of our sect and even gain the favor of my royal father. This can also be considered a test for him to see how his temperament is. Dong Shengting explained in such detail was also for the sake of his future plans. He was targeting Qin Wentian, and now that Princess Lioli had already seen through it, he might as well be frank with his intentions to avoid any misunderstandings from Princess Lioli. If news of this were to spread to Qing Er's ears in the future, although it would still be suspicious at the very least, he could justify his words on the surface. In order to prevent Qin Wentian from entering the top 3, he could only do so. Understood. Princess Lioli nodded her head lightly and didn't say anything more. I have no intentions of entering the top 3. It's not that I'm arrogant, but other than Qin Wentian, for the other participants, only Gusu Tianqi and Jun Mengchen might be able to threaten me. But even so, the probability of victory is 50-50. Earlier, Qin Wentian has already defeated me. If he were to replace me in the top 3, I wouldn't have any objections. At this moment, Hua Taishu stared at Dong Shengting as he spoke, his words causing many to be bewildered. Seems like Hua Taishu wasn't interested in taking the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor as his master, but he was extremely respectful towards his master, the Myriad Incarnations Immortal King. And as expected at this moment, the beautiful eyes of the Myriad Incarnations Immortal King flashed with a consoling smile. The 100-year grand event of the Dongshangshan Gate. How can it be a child's play? I've already seen the performance of the geniuses present. How can I back down? Dong Shengting faintly spoke, causing Hua Taishu's expression to stiffen. However, he only saw Qin Wentian smiling at him. Hua Taishu, there's no need to say anything more. The Dongshangshan Gate is the leader of the 13 prefectures. His Highness Dong Shengting naturally has his own plans in mind. Upon hearing Qin Wentian's words, expressions of interest appeared on the faces of the spectators. Did Qin Wentian give up? Ultimately, his ranking could only be rank number 4. His 3 fellow apprentice brothers were all so dazzling, radiating resplendent light. However, it seems that only Jun Mengchen would be able to enter the top 3. Qin Wentian could only be ranked number 4, and Zi Qingxian could only be ranked number 5. Senior brother. Jun Mengchen was still somewhat unconvinced. Mengchen. Qin Wentian directly interrupted what Jun Mengchen wanted to say. He then continued, trust in your Highness Dong Shengting. For the next battle you will challenge Gusu Tianqi. If you win, I believe your ranking would still be able to advance. You have to do your best in this battle. Right? Jun Mengchen nodded heavily. The anger in his body was about to erupt forth. His silhouette flickered as he directly landed in the center of the platform. He stared at Gusu Tianqi as he spoke. I will win this battle for sure. Gusu Tianqi opened his eyes as a terrifying beam of light shot out from them. Terrifying to the extreme. Jun Mingchen would win for sure? In that case, wouldn't he, Gusu Tianqi, be defeated? You won't be able to win. Gusu Tianqi stepped out as a terrifying heat wave instantly gushed forth from him. 9 blazing suns floated in the air as an incomparably gigantic furnace appeared. Numerous long spears could be seen within the furnace, each of them resembling a blazing sun spear. The Gusu Tianqi at this moment was too terrifying. The instant he appeared, he radiated a towering might that caused the hearts of the spectators to tremble. Powerful. The spectators stared at Gusu Tianqi as their hearts trembled. On the other side, Jun Mingchen stood proudly on the platform. Behind him, the shadow of the ancient king manifested, resembling a supreme king. A crack opened up in his body as a brilliant light flashed, transforming into a clear skies worldly diagram that floated in the air, resembling the boundless starry skies. This clear skies worldly diagram was like a world of starry skies, and within it, there were signs of life. This clear skies worldly diagram existed in the center of that supreme king, as though it was the body of that supreme king. The spectators stared intently at the clear skies worldly diagram as their hearts trembled. What ability was this exactly? The entire starry sky seemed to be enveloped by a supreme king, and the body of this king was like a painting of the starry skies. It was rumored that for those with heaven-defying physiques, their astral souls and constellations were all destined by fate. Was Jun Mingchen such an existence? 2 supreme geniuses, in addition to Hua Taishu's eyes of samsara, the top 3 rankers are truly 3 supreme geniuses. From a certain perspective, it wasn't wrong for Dong Shengting to choose these 3 as the top 3 rankers. Qin Wentian was also very strong. His overall combat prowess was extremely high. However, he had yet to display an ability that would stun the spectators in an instant. Such a person could be considered a supreme genius, but his malleability might not be as good as the rest. Gusu Tianqi walked step by step towards Jun Mingchen with the blazing furnace in his hand. Half of the sky was burning, while the other half was Jun Mingchen's constellation, the Battle King's shadow, and the clear skies worldly diagram. Abruptly, Gusu Tianqi pointed his finger forward. From the terrifying blazing furnace, numerous long spears shot out, directly burning Jun Mingchen's Battle King armor. Terrifying sizzling sounds rang out as the blazing furnace constellation erupted forth with destructive flames. Jun Mingchen abruptly clenched his fists as a supreme king glow radiated from him. With a roar, countless war chariots gushed forth from the clear skies worldly diagram. These war chariots seemed to be forged from the toughest materials, and as they soared through the air, they collided with the long spears, directly exploding apart. Roar! Jun Mingchen howled as he stepped out. From the clear skies worldly diagram, an incomparably violent windstorm manifested. The war chariots soared through the air while the demonic beasts frenziedly attacked. Their speed was also extremely fast, wanting to engulf the entire sky in the blink of an eye. Too crazy, is such an attack really the ability of a celestial phenomenon ascendant? With a single roar, he can annihilate countless ordinary characters at the same level as him. The hearts of the spectators trembled. The eyes of those immortal kings were all blazing with heat as they stared at this battle. The blazing flames radiating from Gusu Tianqi grew even more terrifying. What was even more terrifying was that behind the 9 suns, 9 silhouettes appeared, all of them resembling divinities. Kill! Gusu Tianqi roared in rage as the power of multiple constellations erupted forth at the same time. The 9 silhouettes pulled out their long spears from the 9 suns and blasted outwards. Boundless flames gushed forth, transforming into a terrifying solar storm that swept outwards, incinerating everything in its path into nothingness. The number 1 genius of the Eastern Prefecture. Is this the true strength of Gusu Tianqi? The spectators stared at this scene. 9 generations of soul inheritors, each generation of immortal kings. Were those 9 silhouettes the shadows of the 9 generations of immortal kings? Such an attack, could it really be countered by someone at the same level as them? Maybe only Jun Mingchen would be able to do so. The clear sky worldly diagram behind him started to churn madly as terrifying currents of energy converged. Jun Mingchen inclined his head as an incomparably resplendent and terrifying light cascaded onto him. He lifted his fists as a boundless light radiated from them, exuding a sense of supremacy. Kill! Jun Mingchen roared in rage. The fist art he used to defeat Song Ao appeared once more. But this time it was even stronger than before. The spectators only saw countless fist shadows piercing through the heavens and earth, as though there were thousands of fist lights that directly blasted into the solar storm. In an instant, numerous holes appeared on the solar storm, as cracks spread out in all directions like spiderwebs. Jun Mingchen's fist art was still as powerful as ever, capable of breaking through anything. Below, Zi Qingxian stared at the battle between the two of them as she sighed in her heart. Seems like she was truly one of the weaker ones. Before this, Gusu Tianqi hadn't unleashed his full strength yet. After she returned, she had to work even harder to become stronger. Mingchen will do his best to help you win this battle, pulling down Gusu Tianqi's ranking. But even so, he doesn't intend to let you enter the top 3. But at the very least, you have to defeat him to prove that you've come before. Are you confident? Zi Qingxian stared at the air as she spoke in a low voice. Naturally, she was asking Qin Wentian, who was beside her. Qin Wentian stared at the battle in the air as his eyes gleamed with a terrifying sharpness. Defeat? How can that be enough? Chapter 885. Zi Qingxian cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian. Seems like Qin Wentian has yet to give up on the top 3 rankings. It was just that she had no idea what method he would use to contend for the top 3 rankings. Dong Shengting didn't want him to enter. How could he do so? Slowly shifting her gaze over, she stared at the battle in the air. Jun Mingchen and Gusu Tianqi were still fighting. Both of them were so powerful that it was inconceivable, too terrifying. Gusu Tianqi brandished his sun spear, each spear strike radiating the light of the sun. When he shot out, terrifying beams of sunlight would erupt forth, capable of melting everything. However, Jun Mingchen only needed a single punch to destroy all of them. His fist technique was world-shaking. It was the fist of a king. Each of his punches contained boundless might within them. In addition, the speed of their attacks was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they clashed countless times. Rumble! Rumbling sounds rang out from the sun furnace as terrifying flames akin to lava gushed out, transforming into a world-shaking long spear. The 9 silhouettes stretched their palms out as the incomparably gigantic long spears landed in their hands. Gusu Tianqi himself also wielded a long spear. Stepping out, a surge of destructive might gushed towards Jun Mingchen. Die! With a thunderous roar, Gusu Tianqi's long spear pierced out. The gigantic silhouettes unleashed a world-shaking spear strike, locking down the heavens and earth, wanting to nail Jun Mingchen to death in the air. Jun Mingchen howled madly. A fearsome storm barrier gathered before him, yet under the might of the spear technique, it was shattered apart unceasingly. The clear sky worldly diagram revolved frenziedly as a supreme might flowed unceasingly into Jun Mingchen, causing his king aura to grow even stronger. The king armor on his body was like a crown. King gloves appeared on his hands, and a battle king dragon carriage appeared beneath his feet. Only to see Jun Mingchen lifting his fists as the chaotic energy in the clear sky worldly diagram flowed towards him. The entire space was filled with an aura of desolation. This was an aura that originated from chaos, and was extremely ancient. The space around him trembled violently. This entire space was like a chaotic world, filled with endless war. That was a world of desolation, and Jun Mingchen was the king of that world. Numerous heaven-shaking long spears pierced through the chaotic currents, allowing the destructive qi to gush over. They had to kill Jun Mingchen no matter what. Even if Jun Mingchen was a supreme king, he still had to die. The 9 silhouettes of Gusu Tianqi were like 9 mighty immortal kings. Each of the long spears stabbed out with the might of a sure-kill spear, capable of shattering the heavens and earth. The king aura radiating from Jun Mingchen grew denser and denser. The crowd inclined their heads and stared at this scene. Even immortal kings felt their hearts trembling. This was only at the celestial phenomenon realm. In the future, if Jun Mingchen broke through to immortal foundation or immortal king, what sort of scene would that be? It was simply unimaginable. There were some people who were innately strong. For example, Jun Mingchen and Gusu Tianqi. But there were also some who were innately strong. The most obvious example was Hua Taishu, Chaotic World King Fist. Jun Mingchen roared in rage. Both his fists punched out, and at this instant, the chaotic currents in the space around him churned, transforming into boundless chaotic fist light. The violet gold king fist transformed into a corporeal violet gold fist that penetrated through space, destroying everything in its path. The boundless violet gold light was so blinding that it stung the eyes of those who looked at it. The boundless chaotic world king fist pierced through the air, clashing against the long spears as a heaven-shaking explosive sound rang out, after which the chaotic world king fist penetrated through, destroying the long spears as it transformed into boundless violet gold light that blasted towards Gusu Tianqi. Gusu Tianqi's countenance stiffened. He stared at the all-devouring chaotic world king fist rushing over. Gathering all his strength, he struck out with his spear once more. However, rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. The crowd only saw Gusu Tianqi's body being flung through the air, as the constellation in the sky gradually dimmed before dissipating completely. Chi! Gusu Tianqi stood in the air, coughing out a mouthful of blood. His body was injured, but the pain in his heart was even greater. Gusu Tianqi participated in the once-a-100-year immortal banquet of the Dongshangshan Gate. His purpose was to become the number one, the most dazzling existence. He wouldn't allow himself to be defeated, but now he was actually defeated. The top ranker of the Eastern continent, Gusu Tianqi, was defeated. Gusu Tianqi has been defeated. Countless spectators at the immortal banquet felt their hearts trembling when they saw this scene. Jun Mengchen didn't merely display a miraculous talent. His combat prowess was unparalleled as well. Only to see at this moment, although Jun Mengchen was panting heavily, he had defeated the powerful Gusu Tianqi. This battle was sufficient for his name to resound through the entire Eastern Prefecture. The atmosphere on the ancient battlefield quietened down. Extremely quiet. Even at the immortal banquet, no one spoke. It was as though everyone was still immersed in the conclusion of this battle. After a long time, Gusu Tianqi drew in a deep breath as he spoke, "I've lost." As the sound of his voice faded, Jun Mengchen retracted his aura. His constellation vanished and the king armor vanished as he reverted back to that harmless-looking young man. His gaze turned to Qin Wentian and Zi Qingxian as a joyful smile appeared on his face. He had won. This victory caused him to be one of the top 3 rankers. It wasn't just because of the talent he displayed, but rather it was a combination of talent and strength. He had won. This victory caused Gusu Tianqi to have a defeat. As for him, Jun Mengchen, he had no defeats at all. Jun Mengchen then turned his gaze onto Dong Shengting as he spoke. "I have no defeats at all and Gusu Tianqi is already defeated. In that case, what about my ranking? Everyone, what do you all think?" Dong Shengting turned his gaze to the immortal kings at the side. Although Jun Mengchen's ranking in the first 2 rounds was slightly lower, the potential he displayed today, as well as his undefeated battle record, His Majesty would surely like him. He should be ranked first. An immortal king laughed. They naturally understood Dong Shengting's intentions, and also understood Dongsheng Heaven Emperor's intentions. Dongsheng Heaven Emperor would definitely accept Jun Mengchen as his personal disciple. Jun Mengchen and Gusu Tianqi were both disciples that Dongsheng Heaven Emperor would like. Good. Since this is the case, Jun Mengchen can be ranked first. Gusu Tianqi was defeated and should be ranked second. Dong Shengting slowly spoke, his words causing the hearts of everyone to tremble. This immortal banquet was truly filled with twists and turns. But in the end, would Jun Mengchen be ranked first? This was too unbelievable. Gusu Tianqi was only ranked second. This little fellow originally already had heaven-shaking talent. Now that His Majesty would personally nurture him, he would surely soar up into the heavens. In the Cloud Prefecture, the idle Cloud Immortal King was extremely happy as he laughed heartily. A genius of their Cloud Prefecture would be ranked first in the Immortal Banquet. How glorious was this! It had never happened before since ancient times. However, the other Immortal Kings of the Cloud Prefecture weren't so excited. Their smiles were stiff. Cloud Prefecture, 3 of them are in the top 10, including the top ranker. Ha ha ha. The more the idle Cloud Immortal King thought about it, the happier he got. Before this, the other Immortal Kings of the other prefectures were still bragging in front of him. Now this was truly a formless face smacking. The Cloud Prefecture isn't bad this time around. Dong Shengting also praised. causing the idle cloud immortal king to feel even more proud. This time around he could finally hold his head up high. Junmingchen, I'm very optimistic about you. In the future, don't let the immortal sect down. Dong Shengting smiled as he stared at Junmingchen. He gave Junmingchen the top ranker because he wanted to recruit Junmingchen, making Junmingchen forget about the grudges between him and Junmingchen. But Your Highness, since I'm the top ranker, if my senior brother defeated Gusu Tianqi, why can't he be in the top 3? Junmingchen asked in doubt. I've already said it before. For this auction, one's talent and combat prowess will be considered. Your talent is extremely shocking and your performance in the 3rd round convinced everyone. You deserve to be the top ranker. But for Qin Wentian, if he merely defeated Gusu Tianqi, he would be ranked in the top 3 based on his performance in the 3rd round. Gusu Tianqi would be eliminated. This isn't fair. Dong Shengting explained. I won't be defeated again. Gusu Tianqi's countenance was like ice as he spoke. He had already been defeated once. Yet Dong Shengting and Junmingchen were discussing the possibility of him losing again in public. You better rest first and recover your combat prowess. At this moment, Qin Wentian spoke, his words causing Gusu Tianqi to coldly stare at him. If you want to fight, let's do it now. Even if I defeated you, the Dong Shengshan Gate doesn't intend to let me enter the top 3. Let alone when you have yet to recover to your peak condition. If I fight against you now, even if I win, I'm afraid Your Highness Dong Shengting would have something to say. Qin Wentian emotionlessly spoke, his words causing Dong Shengting to furrow his brows. Qin Wentian's words were clearly implying that the Dong Shengshan Gate was targeting him. Take a rest. Before this, I'm sure you also thought that you wouldn't be defeated. But since you've already lost once, it's better to be more cautious. Qin Wentian continued when he saw the sharpness in Gusu Tianqi's eyes. Since you say so, I'll wait. Gusu Tianqi replied. After which, he sat down cross-legged and closed his eyes in meditation. The gazes of the spectators turned to Qin Wentian. The words of this fellow were filled with an intense self-confidence. The top 10 geniuses were still on the battle platform. Staring at them, the immortal kings couldn't help but to sigh in admiration. Some of them weren't weak, but they were still at the bottom of the rankings with unwillingness in their hearts. They didn't know if their state of heart would be affected by this setback, and would never be able to recover from it. Most probably there's only one more battle left. However, Dong Shengting seems to have already decided on the rankings. This battle has no influence on the rankings at all. It's just a battle for Qin Wentian to prove himself. The hearts of the spectators mused. Even the atmosphere at the immortal banquet turned much quieter. Everyone was quietly waiting for the final battle. After this battle, the once-in-a-100 years grand banquet would finally come to an end. After a long time, Gusu Tianqi's eyes opened as a dazzling light erupted forth, terrifying to the extreme. He stared at Qin Wentian as he asked, "Are you done?" Qin Wentian glanced at Gusu Tianqi before standing up. He stared at Dong Shengting and spoke, "I won't say anything about what happened before. Since Your Highness said that my performance earlier showed that my talent wasn't high enough, I only hope that for this final battle, Your Highness would be able to see things clearly and not taint the word fairness of the Dong Shengshan Gate. The eyes of all the seniors here are like torches, logic is clear in their hearts." As he spoke, his silhouette slowly walked towards the center of the battle platform as he stared at the geniuses gathered here. "Your opponent is me." Gusu Tianqi walked towards him as he coldly spoke. "You aren't my opponent." Qin Wentian spoke in arrogance. He swept his gaze over everyone as he spoke. "Gusu Tianqi, Feather King, Ruthless Qin Tai Chenchen. I hope everyone can give me a chance and come at me together." Chapter 886. As the sound of Qin Wentian's voice rang out, the originally silent atmosphere turned even more silent. Even the sound of the wind could be heard clearly. Countless gazes landed on Qin Wentian. Their faces were filled with shock, as though they didn't dare to believe that Qin Wentian was the one who spoke those words. The 10 chosen walked up the platform. Although they weren't as tyrannical as Gusu Tianqi and Qin Wentian, how could there be weaklings among them? If one fought alone, they might be insta-defeated by Qin Wentian. But if there were 5 of them, including Gusu Tianqi, the amplification of their attacks wouldn't be as simple as adding them together. Let's ask, if 5 of them attacked at the same time, would the effect be the same as 5 of them attacking individually? If they joined forces, the might they could unleash would be fatal. This was especially so for geniuses of this level. How terrifying would that be? It was simply unimaginable. But Qin Wentian actually said that he would give them a chance. He wanted Gusu Tianqi, Feather King, Ruthless, Qin Ta and Yi Qianqian to come at him together. Was he crazy? In order to prove his strength, in order to enter the top 3, he wanted to fight against 5 people? Are you insulting me? Gusu Tianqi coldly spoke. Wanting him to join forces with the other 4 to fight against Qin Wentian was simply ridiculous. This person was simply too arrogant. Fight against me first. Among the participants, Feather King was the most sullen one. As a young king of the Winged Devil race right now, he couldn't even maintain his position within the top 5. How cruel was this to him? Ruthless, Qin Ta and Yi Qianqian. Although they were all defeated by Qin Wentian, they were all staring coldly at him right now. You guys have already been defeated so miserably, yet you guys still have such laughable arrogance. Qin Wentian stepped out, turning his gaze onto the crowd. The reason why he chose to fight against the 5 of them was because Dong Shengting made things difficult for him. He could only use this method to prove himself, letting everyone witness this battle. If Dong Shengting still didn't allow him to enter the top 3, it would be equivalent to him smacking his own face. If the news of this immortal banquet at the Dong Shengshan Gate were to circulate out, he would definitely become a laughing stock. In an instant, boundless battle might erupted from Qin Wentian. Brilliant light illuminated the heavens as terrifying rumbling sounds rang out. Qin Wentian's body expanded, becoming hundreds of meters tall. The others had to tilt their heads to see him. In front of them, only his feet could be seen. Boundless brilliance flowed around his body, as if he was wearing a demonic armor. A layer of blood-red brilliance bloomed on Qin Wentian's body, which was extremely demonic. In the air, boundless astral light cascaded downwards, transforming into a terrifying constellation. Demon Sovereign Astral Soul, Violet Gold Suppression Constellation. An incomparably violent gigantic demon appeared, revolving around Qin Wentian's back. It was the same size as Qin Wentian and exuded a towering demonic might, akin to a demon king from the primordial era. An intense roar thundered out, shaking the heavens and earth. After which, the roars of the other demonic beasts resounded in unison. Within the constellation, numerous terrifying gigantic demons appeared, each of them exuding a fearsome aura similar to Qin Wentian's. These demonic beasts stood in different directions, as though they wanted to envelop the entire battle platform. Gusu Tianqi and the others felt their hearts trembling when they saw this scene. This fellow, was he going all out? Was he doing this to prove his strength? Behind Qin Wentian, numerous gigantic violet golden silhouettes could be seen, resembling divinities. Terrifying runic light flowed around their bodies, and each of them radiated a fearsome pressure that permeated the air. Do you guys really think that you are very powerful? Qin Wentian swept his gaze over the 5 of them. On his body there seemed to be a pure and flawless white flame circulating around him, enveloping the entire starry space. Gusu Tianqi inclined his head, staring at the 100-meter-tall giant. His aura frenziedly gushed forth as he soared up into the air, executing his battle art. His blazing furnace constellation manifested, with 9 divinities wielding long spears in their hands, standing guard behind him. Similarly, terrifying sun flames circulated around his body. However, when he stood in front of Qin Wentian, his aura was clearly weaker than before. I've already said it. The 5 of you can come at me together. If there's only one of you, you won't stand a chance at all. Qin Wentian stretched out a gigantic palm. On this palm, divine inscriptions could be seen circulating around it. The divine energy in his body was unceasingly channeled into his palm, resembling numerous ancient bells. His divine energy also contained white flames within, causing the ancient bells to transform into a pure and flawless white color. Feather King howled in rage as his aura towered up into the sky. A pair of violet gold wings appeared as he soared up into the air. The color of the sky changed as a powerful ancient devil manifested. His eyes stared at the gigantic figure before him as his battle intent towered up into the sky. Boom! It was as though there was a winged devil protecting him. An incomparably gigantic winged devil shadow appeared behind Feather King, as its pair of violet gold wings blotted out the sky. "There's no need for you guys to act," Gusu Tianqi roared in rage. He stepped out as the 9 divinities shot out their long spears at the same time. A destructive sunstorm blasted out, wanting to melt everything. Qin Wentian directly blasted out with his palm. In an instant, an incomparably gigantic white ancient bell appeared in the air, as though it could suppress everything. This white ancient bell directly slammed into the tempest as boundless white-colored calamitous energy gushed forth. In just an instant, the tempest was completely destroyed. "I've already said it. You aren't my opponent." Qin Wentian lowered his head. His gigantic eyes glanced at Gusu Tianqi, causing his countenance to turn incredibly unsightly to behold. Was this Qin Wentian's full strength? To think that he was actually so powerful. With a lift of his hand, the gigantic ancient bell actually destroyed the sunstorm he unleashed. Not only for Gusu Tianqi, everyone in the immortal banquet felt their hearts trembling. The Qin Wentian at this moment was simply too powerful. Boom! Qin Ta of the heavenly god race had an extremely irascible personality. Right now he transformed into a heavenly deity, as his body expanded explosively. He roared in rage, "I really want to see how strong you are at your peak." Yi Qianqian's silhouette soared up into the air. On the battle platform, Yi Qianqian no longer had anything to lose. His ranking might very well be the highest. In that case, what else was there for him to be concerned about? Defeat, it didn't matter. He also wanted to see how strong Qin Wentian was at this moment. The last one was ruthless. His silhouette also soared up into the air. The 5 of them surrounded Qin Wentian, each of them radiating a terrifying aura. "Let's attack together," Qin Wentian roared. Momentarily, the silhouettes all rushed out at the same time. Yi Qianqian directly slashed out with his sword, cleaving apart space, aiming for Qin Wentian's head. Ruthless spear of darkness pierced through the heavens and earth, aiming for the back of Qin Wentian's head. Qin Ta blasted out with his heavenly god fist, penetrating through the air. Feather King transformed into a winged devil. His silhouette flickered as he directly lunged towards Qin Wentian. Gusu Tianqi appeared in front of Qin Wentian. He took out a supreme sun spear from his sun furnace and stabbed it towards Qin Wentian. Roar! A violent roar shook the heavens and earth. As long as the demonic beast king protecting Qin Wentian could protect him, the demonic beast that descended from the heavens would directly attack the 5 of them. Qin Wentian's palm slammed towards Gusu Tianqi's attack, but his eyes were staring up at the sky. Everywhere his gaze landed, the numerous violet gold figures that resembled divinities actually floated up. Boom, boom, boom. Each of the figures slammed downwards, landing in a certain location. It was as though these figures were forming a marvelous diagram. The 5 experts frenziedly attacked Qin Wentian. However, to the shock of the spectators, they discovered that they couldn't even break through Qin Wentian's defense. If Qin Wentian wanted to defeat the other 4 with the exception of Gusu Tianqi, it would be extremely easy. Even when Gusu Tianqi attacked, Qin Wentian's palms were constantly repelled. However, Qin Wentian wasn't in a hurry to act. What does he want to do? The gazes of the spectators turned to the sky. The numerous divinity-like figures gathered together to form an incomparably gigantic diagram. This diagram abruptly revolved, emitting a fearsome might. Gusu Tianqi inclined his head and stared at the sky. He could feel an incomparably great threat from the diagram, after which, he saw Qin Wentian stretching out his hands and waving them in the air. That incomparably gigantic diagram descended from the sky as numerous figures revolved frenziedly around it. The position Qin Wentian was standing at was precisely in the center of the diagram. A supreme pressure bore down on them. Gusu Tianqi and the other 4 were enveloped by the gigantic diagram, feeling a stifling pressure. They frenziedly unleashed their attacks. Yet the terrifying might of the diagram seemed to have locked down their attacks, suppressing them and destroying them. The 9 figures behind Gusu Tianqi suffered an attack. Boundless light blasted over, destroying the 9 figures unceasingly. The numerous suns also stopped radiating their might as they were destroyed by the boundless light. At this moment, regardless of Gusu Tianqi or Feather King, they discovered that their bodies were being suppressed by a supreme pressure. Their movements became extremely slow. "Get down!" Qin Wentian glanced at Yu Qianqian, after which, a surge of suppressive energy blasted onto him, slamming him into the ground. Go! Qin Wentian turned his gaze to Qin Ta, after which Qin Ta was flung through the air. Next, Ruthless and Feather King roared in rage, yet they were still unable to block that suppressive energy. The suppressive energy directly slammed into their bodies and could even kill them directly. However, Qin Wentian didn't mind doing this. If it wasn't for the fact that he wanted everyone to see clearly, and that he didn't want Dong Shengting to have any excuses, he wouldn't have dragged the other four over. To him, these four were of no threat at all. Is there still a need to fight? Qin Wentian turned his gaze to Gusu Tianqi, after which, the light from the diagram landed on Gusu Tianqi. At this instant, Gusu Tianqi couldn't move at all. The boundless suppressive energy blasted over, shattering all of his defenses. Qin Wentian slammed out with his palm, directly sending him flying towards the direction of the banquet. An immortal king from the eastern prefecture waved his hand and caught hold of Gusu Tianqi's body. However, his gaze was fixed on Qin Wentian. The gazes of everyone were on Qin Wentian. This was the last battle, and it was also the most shocking one. Qin Wentian single-handedly treated all the geniuses at the Dongshengshan Gate as nothing. No matter how many geniuses there were, he alone could destroy them all. Not only could he defeat them, he could even kill them if he wanted to. Qin Wentian's body was over 100 meters tall. The light radiating from him illuminated the skies, as though he was the true supreme character of this immortal banquet. When he stared at Dong Shengting, he spoke. Is this enough? This was the most perfect hymn, the most powerful hymn. Princess Liali turned her gaze onto Qin Wentian before shifting her gaze onto Jun Mingchen. The talent of these two could be considered unparalleled in the 13 prefectures. In that case, if they were placed in other locations in the immortal realms, they would also be geniuses who stood at the peak. There was a possibility that her father, the White Emperor, had predicted this. However, who was it? She turned her gaze onto Dong Shengting. Before this, Dong Shengting had intentionally targeted Qin Wentian. Although he had explained it, it was still a little forced. Now what should he decide? Many thoughts flashed through Dong Shengting's mind. If right now he still didn't allow Qin Wentian to enter the top 3, it would undoubtedly mean that he was denying the words he said not long ago and was clearly targeting Qin Wentian. In that case, would he really allow Qin Wentian to enter the top 3 and become the sage child of the Dongshengshan Gate, the personal disciple of her father? Qin Wentian, would he do something shocking and damage the reputation of the Dongshengshan Gate? If this young man wishes to pursue Qing, he would definitely need an extraordinary identity. Since he is in the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures, becoming the personal disciple of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor is undoubtedly the best choice. If not, if he were to rely on himself, even if he wanted to leave the 13 prefectures, he would have to spend an extremely long time. By the time he truly came into contact with the upper echelons of the Evergreen Kingdom, it would have already been countless years. If he is smart enough, he should know what to do. Dong Shengting silently mused. Why not temporarily give Qin Wentian a chance? As for how he would treat him in the future, that was still up to him. As he thought of this, a smile flickered in Dong Shengting's eyes. He stood up and slowly spoke, being able to witness the shocking talents of the various geniuses. This is the fortune of my Dongshengshan Gate. Qin Wentian, I've said it before. I won't intentionally target you. This time around, the combat prowess you displayed can only be described as breathtaking. In this round, you didn't lose a single battle. In this round, you are the first ranker. In addition, although you were the last ranker in the first round, you still managed to enter the top 3 in the second round. You aren't inferior to your junior apprentice brother Jun Mingchen. In that case, the rankings of the two of you will truly make things difficult for me. Dong Shengting had a relaxed smile on his face. It was as though a single glance from him was sufficient to ease the tension in the air. It was as though he had never intentionally targeted anyone before. In addition, that last sentence of his was undoubtedly an official announcement that Qin Wentian had entered the top 3. Dong Shengting said that the rankings of Qin Wentian and Jun Mingchen made things difficult for him. But earlier, he also said that he would rank Jun Mingchen as the first ranker. This meant that Qin Wentian and Jun Mingchen would be the top 2 rankers of this immortal banquet. First and second rankers. Ha ha ha. The Idle Cloud Immortal King laughed happily. The first and second rankers both originated from his cloud prefecture. However, the countenance of the Deep Flame Immortal King was extremely gloomy. His disciple Blackpeak was killed by Qin Wentian on the battle platform. And now, Qin Wentian still managed to break through the restrictions of the rules and entered the top 3. Even if Dongsheng Ting wanted to stop Qin Wentian, he wouldn't be able to do so. The Deep Flame Immortal King's eyes flashed with coldness as he laughed coldly in his heart. He was very clear about Dongsheng Ting's personality. Dongsheng Ting's will was extremely resolute and he had a strong personality. He could allow Qin Wentian to enter the top 3, but in the future, after Qin Wentian takes the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor as his master, it would be impossible for him to rise up to the heavens. The days for Qin Wentian were still very long. At this moment, I shall officially announce the top 10 rankers of the once-a-100-year grand banquet held by the Dongshengshan Gate. Dongsheng Ting's voice rang out. The azure dragon in the air howled in rage as the soldiers around the battle platform pointed their spears at the sky and roared in unison, their voices shaking the heavens and earth as their might towered up into the sky. Even those in the immortal banquet all stood up, expressing how important this moment was. Ranked number 10, Qianqian. Dongsheng Ting called out. Yi Qianqian's countenance was incomparably calm. There was no hint of complacency in him at all. Ranked number 9, Qin Ta. Dongsheng Ting continued. Qin Ta's countenance was also extremely calm. Ranked number 8, Ruthless. Ranked number 7, Mo1. Ranked number 6, Zi Qingxian. Ranked number 5, Feather King. The spectators all sighed when they heard the rankings. Although Zi Qingxian defeated Feather King, her ranking was still placed behind him. Evidently, Dongsheng Ting decided to place both Qin Wentian and Jun Mengqian into the top 3. As for Zi Qingxian, there was no need for her to take care of her and nobody would say anything about it. Naturally, Zi Qingxian didn't really care if she didn't enter the top 3. Ranked number 4, Hua Taishu. Dongsheng Ting's voice rang out, his words causing the spectators to tremble. Qin Wentian ultimately managed to enter the top 3. However, Dongsheng Ting placed Hua Taishu at number 4 and Gusu Tianqi into the top 3. His meaning was very clear. Before this, it didn't matter because both Gusu Tianqi and Hua Taishu wanted to enter the top 3. But now, only one of them could enter the top 3. Since Hua Taishu had no intention of taking the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor as his master, Gusu Tianqi had to exit the top 3. As for Gusu Tianqi, his royal father, the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor, wanted to accept him as a disciple. How could Gusu Tianqi be one of the top 3 rankers? Hence, Dongsheng Ting saved a spot for him while Hua Taishu was eliminated. The rankings of the two of them were already disputed. For the first 2 rounds they were evenly matched. But for the third round, Hua Taishu only fought a single battle and didn't fight against Gusu Tianqi. The two of them specialized in different aspects and it was hard to compare them. No matter who Dongsheng Ting placed first, he would still be biased. Evidently, Dongsheng Ting had already made his decision and placed Gusu Tianqi into the top 3. For this point no one would say anything, because even Hua Taishu himself didn't want to fight for the top 3 positions. Number 3, Gusu Tianqi. Dongsheng Ting finally announced the top 3 rankings. The moment his name was announced, everything seemed to be settled. Qin Wentian and Jun Mengqian had already locked onto the top 2 positions. Number 2, Jun Mengqian. Dongsheng Ting spoke again. As the sound of his voice faded, the gazes of everyone turned to Qin Wentian. Dongsheng Ting placed him in the top 3. Qin Wentian is the top ranker of this batch of trials. Dongsheng Ting had a smile on his face. The Immortal Kings all applauded, congratulating the top rankers. Congratulations! Your Majesty can finally accept 3 more disciples. Congratulations as well. Senior Immortal Kings, please return to your seats. The 10 of you can return to your seats as well. Dongsheng Ting waved his hands as he smiled, exuding an incomparably carefree aura. After that, everyone returned to their seats. In the direction of the Cloud Prefecture, the Idle Cloud Immortal King stood there to welcome the return of Qin Wentian and the other 2. Mu Yan also raised his wine cup to congratulate Qin Wentian and the other 2. Who would have thought that during the battle in the Driftsnow city, Qin Wentian's brilliance was extremely dazzling. But even so, he didn't expect that Qin Wentian would be able to stand at the peak of the Dongshangshan Gate. Qin Wentian and the other two exchanged glances. After that, Qin Wentian patted Zi Qingxian on her shoulder, consoling her. Come, everyone, let's drink and celebrate the conclusion of this grand banquet. Dong Shangting seemed to be very happy. He didn't feel the slightest bit of unhappiness at the fact that Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen obtained the top two positions. Your Highness, the curtains haven't been drawn yet. It's about time for the treasures to be brought out. Jun Mengchen heartily spoke, as though he was worried that if he rejected Dong Shangting, he wouldn't be able to obtain the treasures. Yeah, for the top 10 and top 3 rankers there will be different rewards. Chapter 888. Jun Mengchen laughed happily. 2 out of the 3 of them had already completed the mission of the Heavenly Talisman Realm. Right now, the rewards of the Dongshangshan Gate were already in his hands. When they return, they would also be rewarded by the Heavenly Talisman Realm. Such a good thing, how could he not be happy? In addition, he also understood that his senior brother Qin had a relationship with the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, and was once abandoned by the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. This was why the Deep Flame Immortal King and Dongsheng Ting wanted to make things difficult for his senior brother Qin, even implicating him and Zi Qingxian. This caused him to be filled with anticipation. Since they abandoned his senior brother Qin before, they should let the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor experience the same feeling. As he thought of this, the smile on Jun Mengchen's face grew even more radiant. He lifted his wine cup and drained it in a single gulp. At this moment, Dongsheng Ting's gaze was still on Jun Mengchen. When he saw the radiant smile on Jun Mengchen's face, his mood wasn't bad at all. Jun Mengchen and Qin Wentian both became part of the top 3. In this case, they should be satisfied, right? He would slowly train them in the future. The immortal banquet this time around can already be considered perfect. Let me toast the various elders and geniuses once more. Dongsheng Ting raised his cup again as he smiled. And also to all the friends who came here to spectate. Come, let's toast together. An immortal king laughed. It's just that we are still a step away from perfection. Let me first congratulate His Majesty for accepting 3 more outstanding disciples, and also congratulate the Dongshangshan Gate for gaining more geniuses. Another immortal king laughed, causing the other immortal kings to laugh as well. Right, congratulations to His Majesty in advance. Everyone happily drank their wine. It was like the matter of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor accepting disciples had already been confirmed. The 3 of them would soon become the disciples of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. Because from their perspective, this immortal banquet, fame, treasures, everything else paled in comparison to becoming the personal disciple of the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor. This was what these geniuses yearned for the most. Didn't they come here because they wanted to become the personal disciple of the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor? How vast was the immortal realms, how many experts were there? Geniuses were as common as the clouds, and there was no lack of supreme characters. However, what did the immortal realms lack the most? A top-notch expert. The Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, the Emperor of the Eastern Sage 13 Prefectures, the controller of the entire 13 prefectures. How terrifying was his authority! Acknowledging the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor as one's master would instantly elevate one's status and identity to a whole new level. To countless people, it could be said that they had truly soared to the heavens in a single bound. In the future, the resources, treasures, and the level of contact they had with them would all undergo a complete transformation. No one had ever thought of rejecting such an honor. In fact, such a thought didn't even cross their minds. Even for Dongsheng Ting, this thought only flashed past his mind. Hence, he was on guard against Qin Wentian. But after thinking about it, he himself had already given up on this idea. His father, the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, was the ruler of the 13 prefectures. Little fellow, you better cherish this opportunity well. At this moment, there were even immortal kings who raised their wine cups to Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen. Young and arrogant. These 2 little fellows are much more arrogant compared to me when I was young. However, only characters like them are qualified to become His Majesty's disciple. At the immortal banquet, the focus of everyone was now on Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen. Although Dongsheng Ting had said that the immortal banquet could be considered perfect, they understood that the main event has yet to come. His Majesty accepting a disciple was the perfect ending to this once-in-a-100 years event. Brother Qin. At this moment, someone called out to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian turned his gaze over only to see that the person who called out was none other than Zhou Yu. His brows furrowed as his countenance turned cold, only to see Zhou Yu raising his wine cup to Qin Wentian as he smiled. Brother Qin, I, Zhou Yu, hereby apologize for the unhappiness that occurred earlier. I will punish myself by drinking 3 cups of wine as punishment. I hope that Brother Qin won't blame me. Right now, the gazes of everyone were on Qin Wentian. He was already destined to be the disciple of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, and the future sage child of the Dongshengshan Gate. As long as he matures, his authority would definitely rise up to the heavens. And given Qin Wentian's talent, in addition to the guidance of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, as well as the nurturing of the Dongshengshan Gate, it was impossible for him not to be powerful even if he didn't want to. And before this, Zhou Yu had an intense conflict with Qin Wentian. But that was because he didn't expect that Qin Wentian would be able to reach this step. Even the Deep Flame Immortal King personally came over to deny it, yet Qin Wentian managed to do it. And Zhou Yu evidently wasn't willing to make an enemy out of a character who might have great authority in the 13 prefectures in the future. The Battle Heaven's immortal manor was also unwilling. Hence they sent Zhou Yu to apologize first. Scram! Qin Wentian spat out. In an instant, Zhou Yu's countenance turned ashen as the smile on his face froze. Although he didn't manage to enter the top 10, he was still a heaven's chosen whose name could shake an entire region. He was prideful in his heart and was hot-blooded in his youth, taking the initiative to apologize only to be told to scram? The countenances of the experts from the Dongshengshan Gate all turned unsightly. Seems like Qin Wentian had no intentions of reconciling. When the other major powers saw this scene, they all gave up on the thought of going up to apologize. Initially, they wanted to reconcile with Qin Wentian, but now, they understood that it was impossible. Zhou Yu stared coldly at the departing back of Qin Wentian. After that, he drank the wine in his cup and with a clench of his fist, the wine cup shattered into pieces. However, he didn't say anything. Qin Wentian completely ignored Zhou Yu. To him, there was no way he would take Eastern Sage as his master. Naturally, even if he grew stronger in the future, he wouldn't purposely go to the Driftsnow city to take revenge on those major powers. After all, although those people wanted to deal with him, it was also a form of tempering for him. He wouldn't be so bored as to purposely take revenge on them. However, Zhou Yu had violated Qin Wentian's taboos. Before this, when Jun Mengchen was poisoned, Zhou Yu cursed him. If he apologized, would Qin Wentian reconcile with him and call him brother? This would only cause Qin Wentian to feel disgust in his heart. Some experts from the major powers of the Eastern Prefecture also came over, toasting to Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen, intending to befriend them. The Dongshengshan Gate was located in the Eastern Prefecture. The disciples of the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor, as well as the sage child characters of the Dongshengshan Gate, were naturally extremely valuable to them. Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen didn't reject anyone. They didn't speak much and just quietly drank their wine. At this moment, a lithe and graceful silhouette walked towards Qin Wentian. Momentarily, the gazes of many experts were attracted to her. In fact, many of the experts from the Dongshengshan Gate had a hint of wariness in their eyes. This person who was walking towards Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen was none other than Princess Liuli. The Idle Cloud Immortal King stood up and personally welcomed them. He smiled. Princess Liuli's name. Although Idle Cloud is in the Cloud Prefecture, I've also heard of it. Senior is too polite. Princess Liuli smiled. After all, these were all immortal kings. She naturally had to show the proper etiquette. Let me toast to the two of them. Princess Liuli stared at Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen as she spoke. The matter her father entrusted to her was extremely important, and there was a high possibility that it was related to these two. Hence she personally came over. The Idle Cloud Immortal King nodded. He then turned to Qin Wentian and Jun Mengchen and introduced, Qin Wentian Jun Mengchen, this is the daughter of the White Emperor of the Evergreen Kingdom, Princess Liuli. The Chongqing the Great also treats Princess Liuli as his own. Qin Wentian's body trembled violently. He stared at Princess Liuli as a dazzling light flashed in his eyes. He instantly stood up and stared at Princess Liuli. The princess of the Evergreen Kingdom, Qing. Wasn't she none other than the princess of the Evergreen Kingdom, the daughter of the Chongqing the Great? The Princess Liuli in front of him actually came from the Evergreen Kingdom, and was also a princess of the Evergreen Kingdom. Princess Liuli had a strange expression on her face when she saw Qin Wentian staring at her. There had never been a man who dared to stare at her in such a manner before. She couldn't help but to feel somewhat unhappy. You should be acquainted with Qing, right? At this moment, Qin Wentian's voice rang out, causing Princess Liuli's eyes to flash with sharpness. She stared at Qin Wentian, as though waiting for him to continue speaking. Princess, if you meet Qing'er on this trip back to the Immortal Empire, help me pass on a message to her. I will definitely look for her. Qin Wentian continued. Dong Shengting's eyes flashed with coldness when he saw this. What relationship do you have with Qing'er? Princess Liuli stared at Qin Wentian. You will know in a while. Qin Wentian spoke. Princess Liuli furrowed her brows. This young man seemed to be keeping her in suspense. However, if Qin Wentian really had a relationship with Qing'er, the person her father was looking for might very well be this young man who could affect the fate of the Immortal Empire. I'll be waiting. Princess Liuli slowly walked back, not saying anything more. The atmosphere at the Immortal Banquet was as intense as ever. At this moment, a beam of light shot over from afar. At this instant, the experts of the Dongshangshan Gate, including Dong Shengting, all stood up and stared in that direction. The light was resplendent, and a figure appeared in the beam of light. The moment he appeared, it was as if the entire world revolved around him. We pay our respects to your majesty. Many immortal kings bowed. The Immortal Foundation soldiers and serving girls all knelt on one knee, incomparably respectful. The person who just appeared was none other than the totem of the Dongshangshan Gate, the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. Father! Dong Shengting happily called out, relinquishing the main seat to his father. Everyone, please take a seat. There's no need to be so polite. The Dongsheng Heaven Emperor didn't put on any airs at all. With a single step, he walked over to Dong Shengting's seat and sat down. He glanced at Princess Liuli as he smiled. The daughter of the White Emperor is truly a heaven chosen. Senior praises me too much. Princess Liuli politely replied. My father often mentions senior to junior. When we return, I'll send my regards to your father and that fellow Evergreen. The Dongsheng Heaven Emperor was amiable and approachable, as though he was talking to a junior of the younger generation. His gaze turned over as he smiled. Although I didn't attend the Immortal Banquet, I already know what happened. For the geniuses who came here today, they can all join my Dongshangshan Gate and become a core disciple. For the top 3 rankers, stand up and let me take a look. The Dongsheng Heaven Emperor smiled. Gusu Tianqi, Jun Mengchen and Qin Wentian respectively stood up. The Dongsheng Heaven Emperor didn't have a strange expression on his face when he saw Qin Wentian. It was like this was the first time he met Qin Wentian. He only smiled and asked, I once promised that for those who can enter the top 3, they can all join my sect. The 3 of you have outstanding talent and it's already very rare for you to be able to reach this step. Today, are you willing to join my sect? Junior is willing, Gusu Tianqi stated. His elders were all extremely powerful, but none of them could be compared to the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor. He naturally wouldn't miss out on such an opportunity. And what about the 2 of you? The Dongsheng Heaven Emperor smiled and nodded as he stared at Jun Mengchen and Qin Wentian. The immortal kings all had casual smiles on their faces as they stared at them, praising them unceasingly. These 3 fellows were about to enter the sect of an immortal emperor. Why would His Majesty need to ask so much? This Jun Mengchen's talent is extraordinary. His Majesty would surely like him. Someone at the side laughed in a low voice. Junior came to participate in this immortal banquet only to temper myself. I have no intention of taking a master. I can only disappoint senior's kind intentions. Jun Mengchen spoke. The sounds of laughter and whispers in the surroundings abruptly stopped at this instant. There was no warning at all. Not even a peep could be heard from the crowd. Time at this moment seemed to have stopped. However, at this moment, Qin Wentian's voice rang out. Junior's aptitude is low. I'm not worthy to be your Majesty's disciple. Chapter 889. Qin Wentian's voice rang out in the silence. How clear was it? Although his voice wasn't loud, it caused the hearts of everyone present to tremble as expressions of disbelief appeared on their faces. In fact, there was even a hint of terror in their eyes. Time stopped once again. Even the sound of breathing ceased to exist. The spectators held their breaths as they stared at Jun Mengqian and Qin Wentian, finding it hard to accept this shocking truth. For the 100-year grand event of the Eastern Sage Immortal Sect, at the very end, the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor appeared and accepted 3 new disciples. This should have been the most exciting moment, but now it has become the most shocking moment. Even for those immortal kings, they all felt a sense of panic in their hearts. What sort of characters were immortal kings? They were all at the celestial phenomenon realm. Even if they were supreme geniuses, there was no need for them to care. But why were they panicking? Because at this moment, the moment the Dongshang Heaven Emperor personally arrived, the moment this grand occasion came to a perfect conclusion, the top 2 of the immortal banquet, as well as the first and second rankers, all rejected the Dongshang Heaven Emperor at the same time. Although Jun Mengqian and Qin Wentian's words were tactful, their tone and expressions were so resolute and emotionless. It was as though this moment was already destined. Since they obtained the top 3 positions, this shocking scene was destined to happen. There were many supreme experts here. None of them were fools. Which one of them wasn't an experienced individual? How could they not tell that Jun Mengqian and Qin Wentian already had their own thoughts in their hearts? Even if they obtained the top 3 positions, they wouldn't take Qin Wentian as their master. Instead, they would reject him without any hesitation. That paragon of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures, the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor, appeared in the most dazzling manner, personally appearing here to complete the final segment of this grand event. It was as though he was the center of attention, appearing there just like that, yet he was directly rejected by the first and second rankers. Wasn't this a slap to the face of the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor? There were actually people in the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures who dared to do such a thing. Not only that, the 2 of them were celestial phenomenon ascendants. In the void, it was silent for a long time. The experts didn't dare to breathe too loudly. They still hadn't digested this fact. The Dongshang Heaven Emperor's invitation to become his disciple was rejected. Moreover, it was rejected by the 2 strongest people who came to attend the Dongshangshan Gate banquet. This was something that had never happened before. Even Princess Glaze was shocked. Her beautiful eyes flickered. She also didn't expect such a shocking thing to happen. Her beautiful eyes swept over everyone, only to see Qin Wentian and Jun Mengqian had incomparably resolute expressions on their faces. As for the others, they didn't even dare to breathe loudly. It was as though they were waiting for the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor to speak. In the Cloud Prefecture, the idle Cloud Immortal King's sense of glory had completely vanished. In fact, he even felt a trace of panic as he stared in shock at the 2 of them. Have they gone mad? Impudent. Finally, a berating voice resounded in the silent space. It seemed so cold, and it even faintly carried a murderous aura. The person who spoke was none other than Dongshang Ting. He had once thought of this possibility, but he rejected it. But at this moment, when he personally witnessed it, an intense coldness gushed forth from his heart. Qin Wentian, did he come here for revenge? He actually dared to protect the Dongshang Heaven Emperor in front of so many people? The overlord of the Eastern Sage 13 prefectures? Jun Mengqian, do you know what you are doing? I gave you such a chance, but you actually chose to give it up? Dongshang Ting stared at Jun Mengqian. As for Qin Wentian, he had already sent him to the death row. His eyes were filled with killing intent when he stared at Qin Wentian. With regards to Jun Mengqian, he still had a sliver of hope that Qin Wentian would be able to influence him and give him another chance. My royal father, the Dongshang Heaven Emperor, is the controller of the 13 prefectures. Your talent is outstanding, and now that my royal father has accepted you as a disciple, your name can shake the world. If you take back your words earlier, I can plead for mercy on your behalf to my royal father. Dongshang Ting stared at Jun Mengqian as he spoke. Jun Mengqian similarly stared at Dongshang Ting. Although he had a carefree attitude and had a frivolous attitude, when it came to matters of principle, he was clearer than anyone else. He was a disciple of the heavenly talisman realm, and was brought here by his senior brother to temper himself. To him this was merely a test, a mission. It was impossible for him, Jun Mengchen, to become the disciple of the Dongshang Heaven Emperor. In addition, given the grudge between the Dongshangshan Gate and his senior brother, it was also impossible for him to enter the Dongshang Heaven Emperor's tutelage. I came here to participate in the Dongshangshan Gate's grand event, starting from the Cloud Prefecture. All the way until now, it was indeed because I wanted to temper myself and grow stronger. I have no intentions of taking a master. Jun Mengchen stared at Dong Shangting as he resolutely continued. In addition, the reason why the Dongshangshan Gate organized this grand event was that the top 3 rankers would have the qualifications to become the disciple of the immortal emperor. However, this is a two-way choice. I've never heard that the immortal emperor must be my master. If not, I wouldn't have come here today. Upon hearing Jun Mengchen's words, the spectators were all speechless. From ancient times until now, the grand event of the Dongshangshan Gate that was held once every 100 years had long followed the rules. The top 3 rankers with the highest talent would naturally become the disciples of the Dongshang Heaven Emperor. This was already a matter of course. There had never been a situation like today where 2 people rejecting the Dongshang Heaven Emperor in such an occasion. Wasn't this simply making things difficult for the immortal emperor? There had never been anyone who dared to make things difficult for the Dongshang Heaven Emperor. This was the first time someone did so. Dong Shangting still wanted to speak, only to hear the Dongshang Heaven Emperor calmly interjecting, "Shut up." Dong Shangting halted when he heard this. He glanced at his father only to see that the expression on the Eastern Sage Immortal Emperor's face was as calm as ever. His eyes were so deep that no emotions could be seen, be it joy or anger. However, the faint smile on his face had already vanished, replaced by a solemn expression. There was no need to doubt that the Dongshang Heaven Emperor would definitely be angered now. He was the immortal emperor and immortal king character. How could he not be angry when his face was slapped by 2 juniors in public? "Everyone sit down." The Dongshang Heaven Emperor spoke. What status did he have? Even if he was angered in his heart, he wouldn't reveal any of it. Everyone respectively sat down, but the atmosphere was still extremely heavy. Nobody spoke. "You guys are fellow apprentices. Which sect did you join? Who is your master?" The Dongshang Heaven Emperor sat there, staring at Qin Wentian as he asked. His eyes seemed to be able to see through Qin Wentian. Just a single gaze actually caused Qin Wentian to feel a terrifying pressure. That voice rang out in his ears. It was like the voice of the great Tao, pressing down on his mental state, wanting him to obediently tell the Dongshang Heaven Emperor. A surge of aura gushed forth from Qin Wentian. His blood was seething as he stared at the terrifying eyes of the Dongshang Heaven Emperor. Clearly, the Dongshang Heaven Emperor didn't release any aura. Yet it was still so terrifying. This was the disparity between their cultivation bases. "Your Majesty, there's no need for you to worry about this." Qin Wentian still maintained his politeness. No matter what he was thinking in his heart, before he had sufficient strength, he still had to maintain the proper etiquette when facing immortal emperors. Naturally, he wouldn't bow and scrape. He still had his own principles and he had his own pride. "Is it because of the matter back then? You intentionally came here to humiliate me?" The Dongshang Heaven Emperor calmly spoke, as though he was talking about an extremely ordinary matter. Such an aura made Qin Wentian involuntarily admire him. "Back then, I should have taken Your Majesty as my master. But after that, Your Majesty requested that I only have freedom once every 1,000 years. Junior begged Your Majesty to retract that order, and in exchange, I was abandoned by Your Majesty due to my poor character. Maybe to Your Majesty, this is just an insignificant matter. Because in Your Majesty's eyes, I'm insignificant. Even if you trample on my dignity, it's nothing more than an insignificant matter. In fact, there's a high possibility that Your Majesty would forget about this matter the moment you turn around." Qin Wentian laughed. He then continued, "The matter back then, as well as the words of His Highness Dong Shangting, in addition to the fact that Kei Tianyi doesn't have any time restrictions, this junior can also guess that the matter back then isn't as simple as I thought it to be. Maybe, Your Majesty is intentionally making things difficult for me." Audacious. Dong Shangting stepped out as his killing intent gushed forth. "Let him speak." The Dongshang Heaven Emperor spoke. Dong Shangting could only halt his steps, but his eyes were still cold as he stared at Qin Wentian. This time around, when I came to participate in the immortal banquet of the Dongshangshan Gate, I was once again targeted and made things difficult for myself. During the first round, the Dream Demon King extracted my memories. How could I not resist? Naturally, I was ranked last. During the second round, the Devil's Statue also had its own consciousness and directly destroyed my will. But even so, I still used my own strength to prove that I'm capable, walking all the way to this step and obtaining the first position. Qin Wentian stared at the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor as he continued, "Under such circumstances, does your majesty think that I would still enter the Dongshangshan Gate? After I enter the Immortal Sect, how would I know what kind of treatment I would encounter? At that time, with just a single reason from His Highness Dongsheng Ting, would be able to consign me to eternal damnation. I came here for 2 reasons. Firstly, it's to temper myself. Secondly, it's to tell your majesty that not everyone is willing to take you as their master. Even if I don't take you as my master, I can still sweep through the geniuses of the 13 prefectures. I can similarly sweep through all the geniuses of the Dongshangshan Gate. Minor characters also have their own strength of character. Their dignity isn't something that can be trampled on so easily." Qin Wentian's voice rang out. His gaze then turned to the Deep Flame Immortal King as he continued, "Earlier, the Deep Flame Immortal King hinted to me that some endings are already destined. However, I've also replied to the Deep Flame Immortal King. For some things, you will never know what the ending will be until the end. Now, Deep Flame Immortal King, do you understand the ending?" The Deep Flame Immortal King's countenance turned heavy, only to see the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor calmly replying, "Marvelous." Qin Wentian turned his gaze onto the Deep Flame Immortal Emperor again, only to see the latter calmly staring at him. His imposing eyes were still filled with a powerful might as he spoke. "Marvelous, very impressive. However, are you not afraid that I will kill you?" As the sound of his voice faded, an even more stifling pressure enveloped Qin Wentian. It felt like as long as the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor willed it, he would be able to take his life away. Back then, the Dongsheng Heaven Emperor accepted the request of the Chongqing the Great, and went to a particle world to accept a disciple. He should naturally know that Qing was giving me a chance. However, your majesty intentionally targeted me, not being loyal to the Great. Now, I merely refuse to take you as my master, yet your majesty wants to kill me? Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed by the world? Qin Wentian arrogantly spoke. Princess Liuli's beautiful eyes flashed. She seemed to understand the meaning behind Qin Wentian's words earlier. This should be what Qin Wentian wanted to tell her.